extraordinary intellectual and organizational capacities. Maithili, while she was working as journalist with the UN, joined in anti-Vietnam War upsurge, and returning to Chennai, joined the left movement. Her interventions on the issue of Kiswanmani massacre of Dalits and Vachati mass rapes of tribal women in Tamil Nadu brought the issues to public view. As one of the founding leaders of AIDWA, her creative interventions in the organization, as well as the many books and articles she authored, continue to be our inspiration. Comrade M.C. Josephine was one of the founder leaders of our organization in Kerala. She died of a heart attack while she was attending the CPIM party congress in Kannur. She was a central committee member of the party. Comrade Josephine was the Kerala state president of AIDWA from 1997 to 2006. She served as the AIDWA national vice president for many years. She was the chairperson of the Kerala State Women's Commission and handled many issues to give relief to women during her tenure. She also held the post of the chairperson of the Kerala State Women's Development Corporation and the Greater Cochin Development Authority. She was a good orator and popular among the mass of women. Comrade K.R. Gauri Amma was an outstanding leader of people's movement in Kerala and former Minister for Revenue, who was in charge of implementing the historical land reforms during the EMS Namboodiripad government in Kerala. Comrade Bibha Ghosh Goswami was one of the founders and the former treasurer of AIDWA. She was elected 6 times as Member of Parliament from West Bengal. She was an extremely popular leader, active in the teachers' movement and in the movement for women's cooperatives. Universally respected for her simplicity and firmness in her political and social ideals, she also had a wonderful voice, sang songs, and was an enthusiastic cultural activist. She was our patron at the time she breathed her last. Comrade Pramila Pandey, one of the founders of AIDWA, worked for a long time as AIDWA's Central Secretariat member and played key role in running the central office. Born in a patriotic family near Pune, Pramila Di joined in freedom movement at the age of 7, singing patriotic songs, participating in picketing programs, and giving slogans. She was arrested and sent to jail during the Quit India movement at the age of 15. She joined the Students' Federation, later the Communist Party, working among poorer sections. She was a leading light in the formation of the Delhi AIDWA. Comrade Ranjana Narula, an unforgettable comrade with her warmth and smile, was one of the founders of AIDWA in Delhi and later worked in CITU as its treasurer. Corona pandemic caused the deaths of many frontline warriors, doctors, nurses, and other health workers who were contributing to the nation with their selfless services. We pay our sincere homage to their memory. I would now request you to stand up for a moment to pay homage. And if there are any names remaining, please send them to me and they will be added to the list later. It's already, as you can see, a rather long list of losses, unfortunately. Let us stand in silence for 1 minute. Please sit down. Before I invite the President of the Reception Committee to give the welcome address, it is my pleasure to announce that we now have started a unit in Kashmir, and we have delegates from Kashmir this time. So now AIDWA literally stretches from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And I would also like to say, my General Secretary has reminded me that this place, Tagore Theatre, where we are having our conference, has a very historical significance, because there are leaders here, leaders of today, who will remember that the Students' Federation in Kerala started from this place. It was through All India Students' Federation started, first conference started here in this very place. And therefore, and it was inaugurated by Comrade A.K. Gopalan. So this is the historical significance of the place, and now I would request the President of the Reception Committee to come forward and give her welcome address.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, delegates, brothers and sisters, and my dear comrades. Kerala welcomes this opportunity with utmost pride, hosting the All India Conference of AIDWA, the strongest democratic organization of Indian women, is a historic moment. AIDWA and Kerala have progressed immensely since the last time Kerala hosted this conference in the year 1986, 36 years ago. The progressive women organizations that function in different states integrated to form the All India Democratic Women's Association in 1981. Thus, our organization has been leading all the big and small fights of women across India for the past 4 decades. The aim of this conference is to strengthen these women's struggles, to take them forward. Revolutionary transformations have happened to both Kerala and AIDWA within these 3.5 decades. The formation of CPIM-led LDF government under Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan for the second consecutive term has indeed changed the course of history of Kerala. And when it comes to the AIDWA membership, it has grown to 53 lakhs from 3 years back to now it is 57 lakhs. I wish to analyze these 2 achievements in the background of the current political scenario in India. The right-wing economic policies and the soft Hindutva approach that the Congress-led union governments undertook until 2014 got all the more powerful in the country. It is true that the Congress lost its power. However, The newly formed RSS-led BJP government has been trying for the past 8 years to strengthen the neoliberal economic policies and also to take the soft Hindutva approach to a higher level of Hindutva extremism. As a result, when the fundamental concerns of Indians such as poverty, hunger, unemployment, etc. are increasing on the one hand, the wealth of billionaires are increasing on the other. Secularism and democracy are under threat as the Hindutva nationalism is gaining force. The only alternative today is the left forces, their interventions to eradicate poverty, hunger, and unemployment, and efforts to safeguard the values put forth by the Indian Constitution. Popular movements prove that the livelihood issues of farmers and laborers can only be solved through their organized fight. This is the left perspective. This was evident from the recent protest by Indian farmers that crossed about 200 days, which drew the world's attention towards the anti-farmer farm bill of the central government. Farmers, including women, walked hundreds of kilometers to participate in that protest. The period also witnessed several movements of women upholding their rights. Our women are aware that their livelihood issues can be resolved and their rights such as equality can be protected only by strengthening an organization of democratic character. This is exactly what the increasing number of membership in the association is suggesting. Kerala is representing a model of left alternative that is coming up in India. When the union government policies are tormenting the lives of common people, Kerala is moving forward with its people-friendly and welfare-oriented programs. The second term of Comrade Pinarayi government is the acceptance of the people for these alternative policies. It is also an appreciation for the secular values of the left government. Kerala has a government which opposed the implementation of Citizenship Amendment Act. The determination of this government to stand with the minorities and the uncompromising attitude towards the destruction of Hindutva extremism is substantial. Comrades, the status of women in Indian society demands a better and equal position for women in all respect of life. During the freedom movement, almost all the leaders of the struggle believed that women should be given equal status in free India and that all discriminatory practices must stop. And for that to happen, it was thought to include such provisions in the Constitution of India, which would help eliminate age-old exploitative customs and traditions, and also such provisions which would help in empowering women socially, economically, and politically. But society is set to accept women as equal to men, and crimes or abuses against women are still on the rise. For that to change, society's age-old deep-rooted mindset needs to be changed through social conditioning and sensitization programs. Therefore, the concept of women's empowerment not only focuses on giving women strength and skills to rise above their miserable situation, but at the same time, it also stresses the need to educate men regarding women's issues and inculcate a sense of respect and duty towards their rights. Kerala is unique in many aspects as compared to rest of India, and AIDWA has played a crucial role in the growth of Kerala along with all the progressive movements. In spite of having a low per capita income and unemployment, and when compared to other Indian states, Kerala has achieved a quality of life which is much higher than all the other states in India as well as some industrialized countries. Notable among its achievements is the good health indicator in terms of morality and fertility rates and high levels of utilization of formal health services. This unique phenomenon of socio-economic development has also been very widely referred to as the Kerala model of development. We have a long story of different struggles for this achievement, and AIDWA as the major women's organization has contributed well. We strongly believe that the delegates from the other states would be proud to acknowledge that this conference is being hosted by Kerala, a democratic secular state. It is the land of legends like Lalitambika Andarjanam, Kunjumadavi, Nagamma, Arya Andarjanam, Sri Narayana Guru, Ayyangali, Poigayil, Yohanan, Chattambi Swami, Vaikam Abdul Qadir Maulavi, and so on. So many others also. The atmosphere of Kerala will give us strength to form the action plan to demolish the regressive forces in the country. Without further ado, let me come to my duty, comrade. We have with us an exceptional personality who happily agreed to inaugurate this All India Conference. As we all know, the daughter of the renowned scientist Dr. Vikram Sarabhai and much admired artist Mrinalini Sarabhai is a respected figure in India who takes daring stance against communism. Her remarkable fight against the Gujarat riots in 2002 has given all of us much inspiration. Now, the Chancellor of Kerala Kalamandalam Deemed University, my dear Dr. Mallika Sarabhai, has become more dear to us. I heartily welcome Dr. Mallika Sarabhai to this historic conference with utmost pleasure and love. Dear comrades, the presence of AIDWA Che Guevara, the eldest daughter of the revolutionary comrade Ernesto Che Guevara, who has been a light for the youth all over the world, is giving us immense pleasure and honor. I wholeheartedly welcome Comrade AIDWA and her daughter Estefina Che Guevara to this wonderful occasion. Your presence will be marked in golden letters in the history of this conference. Comrades, now I take the opportunity to also welcome the forefront fighter of equality, who was imprisoned for raising her voice against communalism and the fascistic tendencies of Narendra Modi. The country together demanded her release, and today we have her on the dais. This is nothing but a pride moment, not only for us, but the whole of India. I heartily welcome Tista Setalwar in this conference. My dear comrades and brothers and sisters, with a pleasure, we have with us CPIM Politburo member and the former General Secretary of AIDWA, Comrade Brinda Karat. She is the much adored leader who is always seen with the minorities and the marginalized of the country, giving them strength and courageously fighting for their rights. Her pointed finger against the bulldozer fascism is a picture that will never fade in the pages of Indian history. I proudly and happily welcome my dearest comrade Brinda, the voice of the voiceless. Dear comrades, our dearest leader, former All India Vice President and freedom fighter, Captain Lakshmirthi's daughter, Comrade Subhashini Ali, the Politburo member of CPIM, is also present here. She, the daughter of Comrade Captain Lakshmi and the leader of women's movements in India, is also serving as the Vice President of our organization. I am much delighted to welcome my beloved sister, Sister Subhashini, who is also the cousin of Dr. Mallika. Comrades, I am concluding the successful organization of this conference. Last 3 years, from Maharashtra to Kerala, during these 3 years, the struggles and the work and the organization, other campaign done by our dearest comrades, Professor Malnidhi Bhattacharya and Mariam Dawle, the successful organization of this conference would have been impossible without the teamwork of General Secretary Mariam Dawle, President Professor Malini Bhattacharya, and Treasurer Comrade Punyavadi. They have led us in the right path of women's movement and have been the strength of all the struggling women of the country. On behalf of organizing committee, I welcome my dear comrade Mariam Dawle to this conference. I welcome respected comrade, dear comrade Professor Malini Bhattacharya to this conference. I think Punyavadi is not well. She is not here, I think. She is here. Oh. She was suffering from fever yesterday. Even then, she is here. I wholeheartedly welcome my dear sister, Comrade Punyavadi. On behalf of organizing committee, I am not taking much time. On behalf of organizing committee, I welcome all the leaders on the dais and delegates from different parts of nation who have been frontline fighters of equality in the ground. Also, I welcome all the volunteers and other leaders, other brothers and sisters, and from the cultural program. So many leaders are sitting in front. Our invitees, 2 ministers are here. Comrade Bindu, our Central Executive Committee member also, Dr. Veena George, Education Minister and Health Minister is also here. Comrade Baby is here. So many invitees are sitting in front of the delegate session. I welcome wholeheartedly. I welcome all the brothers and sisters and comrades and special invitees to this conference. We, the organizing committee, have tried our best for providing minimum facilities for our delegates. If you face any inconvenience, please don't hesitate to contact our volunteers here and outside also. I am concluding, comrades. Once more, I welcome all the delegates on the dais and off the dais, and all the brothers and comrades and sisters. Okay, comrade, greetings.
मेरा ये हिंदी में भी बोलना था कि जहाँ ये हमारा सम्मेलन हो रहा है, ये एक ऐतिहासिक स्थल है और यहाँ सन 1970 में स्टूडेंट फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया के पहला सम्मेलन यहाँ ही पारित हुए थे और वहाँ उसका उद्घाटन किए थे कॉमरेड A.K. Gopalan, the veteran leader of the communist movement in India. So now we will pass on to our next agenda, which is the inaugural address. And as you have already heard, it is going to be given by Dr. Mallika Sarabhai, who is the Chancellor of the Kerala Kalamandalam deemed university at present, but that's not how we know Mallika. We know Mallika as a world-famous exponent of dancing, but one who does not merely look at dancing as an as a cultural act, but also as a political act, moving towards the emancipation of women. नारी मुक्ति के लिए ये जो इनका जो कला वो जो उपयोग कर रहे हैं, इसके बारे में हम बार-बार हम बोलना चाहिए. And I particularly, because I have this opportunity, I would particularly like to say that how we all enjoyed her appearance as Draupadi in Peter Brook's version of Mahabharata. And that performance is not to be forgotten, among others. But we also think of her as a person who is a very straightforward fighter against communalism, सांप्रदायिकता के खिलाफ लड़ने वाली, एक ताकत वाली एक कलाकार हम उनको समझते हैं. And I have great pleasure now in requesting Dr. Mallika Sarabhai to give her inaugural address here.
इतनी सारी औरतों को एक साथ कहीं मंदिर या मस्जिद में नहीं, लेकिन एक डेमोक्रेटिक स्पेस में देखकर मेरा गला भर आता है. 20 साल से गुजरात में हम अपनी सांस घोंट रहे हैं. मुझे लोग पूछते हैं कि आप एक आर्टिस्ट हो, आपने कैसे गुजरात के नरसंहार के बाद सबसे पहले उंगली उठाई. हाँ, मैं एक आर्टिस्ट हूँ, लेकिन मैं एक मानवी हूँ. मैं एक इस प्लैनेट की मानवी हूँ, और मैं नहीं चाहती कि किसी भी और मानवी को या जानवर को या धरती माँ को नरसंहार में दुष्टता से डिस्ट्रॉय किया जाए. In what capacity do I stand in front of you just now? I don't know. As somebody who believes that every person in the world has an equal right to exist, to flourish, to have an opinion, to live in peace, to live with justice, because I believe, like I'm sure you do, in all these things. That if so many of us believe in all these things, why are we going towards a deeper and deeper abyss? Is it because we don't live our politics? I ask women everywhere, women who believe in justice and dignity, I ask them, do you take justice and dignity into your homes? Do you bring up your sons not to become rapists? Do you bring up your daughters not to treat other women with contempt and a lack of dignity? Because if you don't, that is the answer. That is why we are not able to change. अगर हम अपने पॉलिटिक्स और अपनी निजी जिंदगी को एक ही रास्ते पे न चलाएं, तो हमें जिस तरह की दुनिया चाहिए है वो कभी नहीं मिलेगी. अगर पितृवादी दुनिया में हम भी मान जाए कि हर दूसरी औरत हमारे साथ कंपटीशन में है, कि हर दूसरी औरत हमसे कुछ छीन लेगी, तो हम उस दुनिया जहां हम पहुंचना चाहते हैं नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे. किसी ने कहा कि मनुस्मृति ने हमें बहुत पीछे कर दिया है, लेकिन आज भी बहुत लाखों औरतों के मन में मनुस्मृति है. वो नहीं कहने पर भी ब्राह्मणवाद में मानती है, वो नहीं कहकर भी जात और धर्म में मानती है. बोलने की एक बात होती है, लेकिन अगर हम अपने घर में ही अपने बच्चों से ये कहें कि इस कौम में शादी मत करो, उस कौम के दोस्तों मत रखो, तो ये कहाँ पहुँचेगा? अगर 100 साल पहले लव जिहाद होता तो मैं यहाँ नहीं खड़ी होती, क्योंकि मेरे दादा दादी और नाना नानी ने भी दूसरी कौम में दूसरे धर्म में शादी की, मेरे माता पिता ने भी दूसरी कौम में दूसरे धर्म में शादी की, और इसलिए मैं यहाँ हूँ। लेकिन आज तो लव जिहाद है। हम कितने लोग हैं जो सचमुच अपने आप को दर्पण में देखकर कह सकते हैं कि मेरा बोलने का सच और जीने का सच वही है? आप अपने आप को पूछिए, मुझे जवाब नहीं चाहिए। आप अपने आप को पूछिए। आप अपने आप को पूछिए कि अगर हम गरीबी के खिलाफ लड़ रहे हैं तो क्या हम गरीब लोगों के साथ वैसा ही व्यवहार करते हैं जो हम अपने दोस्तों के साथ करते हैं? क्या हम अपने घर में कौमीवाद लाते हैं, अपने मन में लाते हैं? हम किसी को बस में देखकर अपने मन में ये कहते हैं, अरे दैट इज द अदर, वो तो वैसे हैं। अगर हमने जितना भी डेवलपमेंट करना था, जितना भी हमें आजादी चाहिए थी, हम अगर अपने पड़ोसी के आंख में देखकर अपने आप को न देखें, तब हम वैसी दुनिया का पैदाइश नहीं कर पाएंगे जैसी दुनिया का हम चाहते हैं। यहाँ इकट्ठे हुए हैं एक आइडियल के साथ लड़ने के लिए। We have dreamt of a world that is fair and just and dignified, that does not have extreme poverty or extreme riches. We are here to fight for that world. Do we fight it every day in our lives is my question. We are also the product of 2000 years of patriarchy, of othering other people, of capitalism, of ultimately saying, this is mine and I will protect it. What is the point of saying Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam if the definition of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam becomes smaller and smaller? If in a crisis, even my daughter-in-law becomes the other. If in a crisis, even somebody who has worked with me all my life becomes the other. These are very hard questions, but unless we ask these questions and unless we change even the fleeting thought that comes to us that others, somebody else, we are not going to get to that critical mass which will bring a better society to us. I appeal to all of you, be honest with yourself. Bring to your own lives the ideals that AIDWA talks about. Bring to your own lives the ideals that Che Guevara talked about. Bring to your life the ideals that Gandhiji spoke about. And then we shall see the change. Lal Salam.
Mallika ji, I do hope that in the course of our 3-day conference, we shall remember what you have said. जो आपने बताए हैं, ये खास करके याद रखना है हमारा लड़ाई सिर्फ एक पॉलिटिकल पावर के खिलाफ नहीं है, एक सोशल पावर के खिलाफ भी है. We are fighting not just against the political power of the BJP RSS. We are fighting against the forces of conservatism which are in our blood and which we must get rid of. Thank you, Mallika ji. So now I will request our beloved patron, one of our leading lights and one of the founders of AIDWA, who has been with us for all these years and who has given our movement the right direction at critical times. I would request Comrade Brinda Kharat to present her keynote address.
Dear Malini, President of AIDWA and presiding over this inaugural session,
my very, very dear and respected personalities on the stage, Malika Sarabhai, who you've just heard in that most moving inaugural address, Tista Setalvad, fighter for human rights, and in this conference of AIDWA, we have one of the greatest anti-imperialist movements represented, Socialist Cuba, through her brilliant daughter and fighter, AIDWA. We are so proud that she is here. Our dear comrade Mariam Dhavle, office bearers of AIDWA, and my very, very dear sisters, friends, and comrades. It is a historic occasion, this 13th conference of AIDWA, and let me begin by extending my warmest greetings to all of you, fighters in your own states, in your own areas and villages, who have come here representing what I consider a movement of resistance and struggle and strength, which has created an example for democratic movements throughout India. My dear sisters, let me congratulate you and let me extend my warmest greetings to all of you. This is also a very special occasion because we are celebrating 40 years of AIDWA. 40 साल हो गए, 4 दशकों में यही झंडा, यही स्लोगन्स, हमारे जो असूल है, हमारे जो सिद्धांत है, democracy, equality, and women's emancipation. And in these 40 years of struggle and sacrifice and victories and loss and gains and setbacks, this AIDWA, this organization, this flag has remained high and given inspiration to women all over the country. From 11 lakh members in 1981, you have heard from our General Secretary that we are now almost 1 crore women members in India who hold up this AIDWA flag. And I think that is a tremendous achievement, emerging as one of the strongest women's organizations, not only due to our membership, but also due to the confirmed commitment to the goals that we set ourselves 40 years ago. So on this special occasion, my warmest greetings to all of you. And I think having this conference here in Kerala is also extremely significant for us. And what Srimati said was so correct, that the way that AIDWA in Kerala has developed, not only as part of the left and democratic movement and its principles, but also setting new goals for the left and democratic movement. We are not just a part of that struggle, which of course we are, but more important, we have set here in Kerala new agendas for the left and democratic forces here in Kerala, agendas which address the issues of women in Kerala. And we hope that in the coming days, under the leadership of the left and democratic government, we will have a state where we can truly say, in India, we have a state for women's own country. You know, here in Kerala, the slogan is God's own country. We would also like a state where we would say women's own country. And I think Kerala is going to be achieving that goal. So I congratulate our Kerala State Committee and all the wonderful efforts that you have made, starting from the unit level, to bring us all here together at the 13th Conference of AIDWA. So a special congratulations to Kerala. And also, my dear friends, we have heard and we have paid tribute to our founder leaders, our martyrs. But I would like to say that along with our martyrs who have sacrificed their lives in these years, we have here in this very hall women delegates from the states of West Bengal and Tripura who have fought the battle for women all over India with so much courage, with so much strength. Can you imagine a state in India with a woman chief minister where elected members of parliament say, if you belong to the red flag, if you hold the red flag, if you hold the AIDWA flag, we are going to make you victims of rape. We are going to rape you. And today, we have here in this hall delegates from West Bengal who have countered that, who have fought that, and who have taken our flag forward. A special greetings to our delegates from Bengal. And here in this hall, we have our sisters from Tripura, our tribal sisters, our sisters living in the urban areas of Tripura. What would you say when you go out to join a demonstration, knowing that perhaps on your way back, the goons of the ruling government in Tripura, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, will most probably attack you? Or if in their area they know that you have come out to join a demonstration, they will threaten your school-going daughter and say, the next time you go on a demonstration, be sure your daughter is not safe. That is the reality. Mr. Modi talks about G20 and India being the mother of democracy. I would request very respectfully the Prime Minister of India, please take the G20 delegates to Tripura. Let them meet the women of Tripura and let them see the hypocrisy of your claims about democracy. And therefore today, this AIDWA conference is a conference which represents in a most fundamental way our understanding that women's movements, united movements, as well as our own independent movement, can move forward only if we understand the deep linkages that are there, partly in our Constitution, the pillars of the Constitution of secularism, of democracy, of justice, of sovereignty, but also the experience of these years of struggle and sacrifice to understand the political context in which we are fighting today, certainly for our development, but in many, many ways for our very survival. And we talk about our survival, we talk about our survival as Indians, as citizens. So we also talk about India's survival. तो आज की जो हालात हैं मेरे प्रिय बहनों, और जब हम अपने 40 साल के अनुभव को अगर हम सोचते हैं, समझते हैं और उसका विश्लेषण करते हैं, तो एक बात बिल्कुल स्पष्ट है उस विश्लेषण में कि एक तरफ जहां हम लोग आज इस स्तर तक पहुंचे हैं, हमारे बंगाल की बहनें, हमारे त्रिपुरा की बहनों ने जिस हालातों में काम करके इस झंडा को ऊपर रखा है, ये वाकई में एक मिसाल है, क्योंकि उनका जो संघर्ष है वो क्या दर्शाता है, ये समझने की बात है। हिम्मत है, बहादुरी है, लेकिन संघर्ष जो जनवाद के लिए है, वो जनवाद और नारियों की अधिकारों का जो
हमारे अनुभवों के आधार पर जो संबंध है, ये अनुभव हमें ये दिखाता है। इसलिए हम हिम्मत को सलाम करते हैं, और उस हिम्मत जो बंगाल और त्रिपुरा ने दिखाया है, उस हिम्मत को अपने आने वाले आंदोलनों के साथ जोड़ के देखें तो जनवाद और नारी मुक्ति का जो संबंध है वो एक मिसाल सामने आता है। और उसी तरह केरल में जो हमारे केरल की महिलाओं ने इस सम्मेलन को सफल बनाने के लिए, हमें सबको एकत्रित करने के लिए जो जितनी मेहनत की, हर यूनिट से वो झंडा लेकर वो आगे बढ़े हैं। और साथ साथ इस जनवादी वामपंथी आंदोलन जो केरल में है, हम केवल उसके हिस्सेदार नहीं हैं। हिस्सेदार तो हम हर चीज़ में बन सकते हैं। सवाल इस बात का है मेरी प्रिय बहनों, उस हिस्सेदारी में क्या हम उस वामपंथी जनवादी आंदोलन को बढ़ाने में हमारा एजेंडा जुड़ता है कि नहीं? और अगर हमारा एजेंडा जो नारी मुक्ति की, नारी एकता की, नारी समानता का जो एजेंडा है, उसको अगर हम आगे बढ़ाते हैं तो निश्चित रूप पर जनवादी और वामपंथी आंदोलन भी आगे बढ़ता है। इसलिए हम कहते हैं, केरल का जो स्लोगन है गॉड्स ओन कंट्री, हम ये उम्मीद करते हैं कि बहुत ही जल्दी पूरे हिंदुस्तान की औरतें कहेंगे ये केरल है जो महिलाओं की अपनी देश है। ये भी एक भविष्य के सामने हमारा एक लक्ष्य है। Now we are so very happy, as I said, to welcome our dear comrade AIDWA, because she represents that movement, the alternative movement to humankind, that of socialism, and the sacrifices of the Cuban people, the fight of the Cuban people against imperialism. And I would like to share this with Comrade AIDWA, that in India, I think in almost every demonstration in India and protest against capitalist exploitation, in support of unity of the working people of this country, you will always find not one, but so many flags with the image of beloved Che Guevara. I don't think there is a single demonstration in India, AIDWA, where you will not have that beautiful image of Che with the berry on and the expression of defiance on his face. And this is what, in our movement, in the women's movement, with that spirit of internationalism, we know how all our movements are interlinked. And therefore, today, on your behalf, let us strongly condemn all those forces today which are forcing wars on humanity, NATO in Europe, and what it has resulted in, the most terrible war in Ukraine. Let us condemn those imperialist hegemonic moves which make the lives of women all over the world so much more difficult. Let us, my dear sisters, on this occasion, express our solidarity, as you have done in your resolution, the people of Palestine, the women of Palestine. And what is happening in our neighborhood? What is happening in Afghanistan? Where the Taliban government, which so many years had been patronized by US imperialists. What is the state of women in Pakistan, our neighbors, where a young girl, a young woman cannot go to college because of those fundamentalist forces functioning in the name of a most damaging interpretation of a religion? How can we tolerate the kind of fundamentalism that we are seeing in Iran, where women are being forced into a dress code? And what about the United States of America, where even the right to abortion, the right of a woman to her own body, in the so-called greatest democracy of the world, is under challenge? So when we in India fight against all types of fundamentalism, when we fight for the women's right to choice, the right to autonomy, the right to decide who we are, what we are, who we love, we express solidarity because we know that women across the world, even at the time of the terrible COVID, when capitalism, brutal capitalism, was looking at profit, not at what we were facing as mothers, as daughters, as women, as working women. No. So we express solidarity with them. And on your behalf, we express our solidarity with movements all over the world in this inaugural session. My dear sisters, जो हमने कहा कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पैमाने पर जो संघर्ष हो रहे हैं, जो कट्टरवाद के खिलाफ, जो साम्राज्यवाद के खिलाफ, जो हमारे संघर्ष हमारी पूरी दुनिया में चल रहे हैं, उसके साथ आज AIDWA एकजुटता प्रकट करती है, क्योंकि हमें मालूम है कि हमारा संघर्ष, जब एक भी औरत अफगानिस्तान में अगर वो कॉलेज नहीं जा सकती है क्योंकि तालिबानी उसको मना कर रहे हैं, अगर ईरान के अंदर ड्रेस कोड को लेकर, तो पूरी दुनिया में जब कट्टरपंथी ताकतें उस प्रकार की कदम उठाते हैं, तो मेरे प्रिय बहनें, हम लोग भी प्रभावित होते हैं। और इसलिए AIDWA की शुरू से ही हमारा ये अंतर्राष्ट्रीयवाद की जो एक समझ है कि पूंजीवाद के खिलाफ, साम्राज्यवाद के खिलाफ और एक ऐसे समानता के आधारित समाज के लिए हम लोग एक साथ मिलते हैं और एक साथ मिलकर हम आपकी तरफ से उन सब संघर्षों को एकजुटता प्रकट करते हैं। And now we look at our own experience here, 75 years of independence. And of course, in these 75 years, women in India have achieved a great deal. बहुत हम लोग अचीव किए हैं, बहुत सारे तमाम पेशों में, in every profession. Is there a single profession today where you will not find a woman in spite of all the barriers, in spite of all the difficulties? So yes, in these 75 years, women in India, through their own efforts, through individual efforts, through collective efforts, through struggles, we have broken many, many barriers. And especially today, when we look at the large number of women in India who are struggling in a patriarchal society, in every family, our family relations are so deeply embedded with such unequal cultures that when there's price rise, when there's an economic crisis, it's the women of India. It's their strategies which help families survive and therefore this country to survive. And so today, we must remember all those crores of unnamed women who in their day-to-day lives are struggling against this unequal, exploitative system which exists in India today. So we celebrate Indian women and their achievements, and we celebrate the courage and strength of those crores of women who make up our country. तो याद करो मेरी प्रिय बहनों, वो तमाम करोड़ों औरतें जो इतनी करूर व्यवस्था में आज किसी भी तरह इस पुरुष प्रधान समाज में अपने परिवारों की बचाव के लिए खड़े हैं। नाम शायद हम नहीं जानते हैं, लेकिन हम उनकी शक्ल पहचानते हैं। गरीबी के खिलाफ किस हिम्मत के साथ आज वो खड़े हैं, वो ही है हमारे देश की शक्ति और वही है हमारे आंदोलन की शक्ति, और आप सबकी तरफ से हम उनको सलाम करते हैं। My dear friends, there are 2 points, because my speech is a written speech, I'm not going into the details, but there are just 2 aspects. One is on the economic aspect, on the barbaric aggression of neoliberal policies and capitalism. And it's our tradition that our struggles have in the main been struggles for equality against capitalism and its various phases. And on the other hand, this whole assault on our very existence as we know it today, I'm not saying that existence is a great existence, but I'm talking about a constitutional existence, I'm talking about a legal framework in which we take our struggles up. तो ये दोनों में, क्योंकि मेरा ये स्पीच लिखित है, आपने देखा होगा, मैं सिर्फ 2 मुद्दे पर, उसकी डिटेल्स में भी मैं नहीं जा रही हूँ, लेकिन एक बात है कि जो पूंजीवाद का अग्रसर रूप है आज, और उसका जो इम्पैक्ट महिलाओं के ऊपर है, और मेरी समझ में हमारे अनुभव से हम कैसे उसका मुकाबला करें, और दूसरी तरफ जो सांप्रदायिकता के और धर्म के नाम पर महिलाओं के अंदर हस्तक्षेप करके जो एक ज़बरदस्त हमला है, और ये दोनों की कड़ी क्या है वो हमें मैं कम शब्दों में दोहराने की प्रयास करूंगी. सो द फर्स्ट थिंग इज दीज चैलेंजेस आर नॉट न्यू टू अस. ये नए चुनौतियां नहीं है. बट व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द एक्सप्लॉयटेशन वी आर facing today or the challenges we are facing today and what we faced, say, a decade ago? What is the difference? The difference is that this aggression of capitalism led by the current government in power, the BJP government, is combined with a bigger agenda. And it is that agenda led by the BJP and the RSS which is driving politics, culture, economics, social relations in India today. So while these challenges have always existed before us, what we understand through our own experience is it is different. Because today you have in state power those forces who want to challenge the very existence, not a great existence, but as I said, a constitutional and legal existence of India and women as we know it today. What is that agenda? That agenda, described by their own ideologues, वो एजेंडा क्या है, क्या परिभाषा है? ये हमारा परिभाषा नहीं है कि हम बता रहे हैं कि बीजेपी आरएसएस का क्या एजेंडा. नहीं, उनके अपने विचारकों ने क्या बताया उस एजेंडा में. हिंदू राष्ट्र. मैं ये कहती हूं आज, ये हिंदू शब्द नहीं, इसको हिंदुत्व राष्ट्र बोलो. And I deliberately use the word हिंदुत्व राष्ट्र because they lay claim that they are representing a religion. In fact, the whole concept of Hindutva is a naked, blatant political concept to impose on India an agenda which is directly opposed to the values, the cultures, the traditions that India stands on today. And this is described by their own ideologues. All those quotes are there, you can read it. So that is the first thing, the agenda in which capitalism is exploiting us more, in which social relations are deteriorating. तो पहले ये ओवरऑल जो ये एजेंडा है मेरे प्रिय बहनों, ये अंतर है. पूंजीवाद के खिलाफ हम लोग लड़े हैं, शोषण के खिलाफ लड़े हैं, यूनिटी के लिए हम लोग लड़े हैं, लेकिन आज एक एजेंडा के तहत ये लड़ाई है, उसको हम समझते हैं. And the second point is, what do they mean when they say Hindutva Rashtra? What does it mean? What does it mean? We have heard it in the crudest of terms by the Bhopal MP. वो क्या नाम है उनका, ये भोपाली जो हमारे बहनें हैं, प्रज्ञा, थैंक यू, नाम भी लेना इस मंच से. क्या बोली? नफरत, चाकू, हमारे दुश्मन, जो दूसरे धर्म, एक और धर्म जो हमारा धर्म का नहीं है, वो हमारा दुश्मन. So that anti-minority aspect of this Hindutva Rashtra is very, very clear. And that is partly what is CAA was all about, to change the very citizenship of India. But what do they also mean by this Hindutva? What is the ideology? And that is where what Malika ji referred to as a text which is accepted by so many millions and crores of people all over India, the Manusmriti. And those who have never accepted the Constitution from 1950, who have demanded that Manusmriti should be the base for India, that is the core of Hindutva. Hindutva का जो केंद्र है, जो सामाजिक रिश्ते बनते हैं, उस विचार के आधार पर, जो उसकी सांस्कृतिक, उसका जो रिफ्लेक्शन होता है, वो मनुस्मृति में पाया जाता है. तो एक तरफ, so on the one hand, you have the Hindutva Rashtra agenda determined and defined by the RSS and the BJP, and on the other hand, you have the definition of what they mean by Hindutva Rashtra, grossly anti-minority, but not just anti-minority, whatever is there in the Manusmriti to support the toxic caste system in India, to support and strengthen patriarchal notions and practices. That is the ideal, unstated, unsaid, but constantly the target. तो ये अंतर है. और आज इस सम्मेलन में आप लोग उस पर बहस करेंगे. मैं उसकी डिटेल्स में नहीं जा रही हूँ, क्या क्या मिसालें हैं. लेकिन आज आप सोचिए, जब आप पूंजीवाद के खिलाफ आपकी लड़ाई है, जब समानता की लड़ाई है, जब महंगाई के खिलाफ लड़ाई है, जब शिक्षा के लिए, स्वास्थ्य के लिए लड़ाई है, वहां अगर ये सरकार पूंजीवाद की अग्रसर रूप अपनाकर उसके साथ साथ हमारी मन को, हमारी दिल को, हमारी दिमाग को, उसको कैप्चर करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, उसको बदलने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं. ये कानून जो बन रहे हैं, ये लव जिहाद, ये एंटी कन्वर्जन, ये सारे जो कानून बन रहे हैं, ये उसी आधार पर है उनका अपना एजेंडा. So everything that we see is linked to this one agenda. Now we have our own struggles, we have our own ideas, we have our own agendas. We are not going to be only following their agenda, but in every agenda we seek to fulfill, we are met with this ideological barrier, with the policy barrier, and worst of all, the use of state power to promote this agenda. राज सत्ता की ताकत इस्तेमाल करके उसको करें. So the second aspect of this, which I want to speak about, are the linkages. When we fight for women's justice, today more than ever before, Ambedkar's words about the linkages of the various pillars of the Constitution are so much more clear in our minds of how correct he was. My dear sisters, you cannot think of women's advance without democracy. You cannot think of democracy without secularism. What would it mean if we lived in a non-secular state where religion and religious texts decided what we were to do? As it is, we are seeing what is happening in the rest of the world. But here in India, Articles 14 and 15 of the Constitution of India, what does it say? We, the people of India, not we Hindu women, Muslim women, Christian women, etc. So the linkages between secularism, democracy, and our own fight for equality are very, very closely linked. And it is this linkage, I believe, in the coming days, which is going to decide how successful we are going to be in our fight against this toxic, communal, casteist, corporate regime. तो ये जो संबंध है ये अलग अलग, उसको मत समझो एक सेक्युलरिज्म के लिए, क्योंकि वो तो कह रहे सेक्युलरिज्म ही हटा दो, चाहे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कह दिया या बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है. सेक्युलरिज्म, जनवाद, समानता, ये सब जो इसके संबंध है बहनों, ये आंतरिक संबंध है जो आज हमारे आने वाले दिनों में जो हमारी चुनौतियां हैं, उन चुनौतियों को सामना करने के लिए ये जो संबंध है इसको हमें जरूर समझना, आंतरिक रूप पर समझने की जरूरत है और उसी के आधार पर हमें आगे बढ़ने की जरूरत है. And along with that, in our strategies to fight all this, you're going to discuss the details in your report and your discussions. I'm not going into any details, but I would just like to say that in 40 years of AIDWA, the issue of violence against women has been a very critical issue we have fought against. हिंसा, महिलाओं की खिलाफ और उनकी शरीरों के ऊपर शोषण और हिंसा, ये हमारा हमेशा एक बड़ा मुद्दा रहा है. I just give you one example of how secularism and democracy and women's rights are linked. What is happening now in the struggle against violence against women? What happened with Bilkis Banu? A woman who was gang raped, her mother, her sister, her 3-year-old child torn from her arms and brutally smashed. 18 members of her family killed. And a couple of those cruel criminals and a couple of guys sitting in the Gujarat government under the patronage of the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, signs a release bond. Where does it come from? ये कहाँ से आती है बिल्किस बानो वाले जो मामला है? कहाँ से? You know about Shraddha Walkar case. A young woman in a relationship is brutalized by some man she trusted. She was brutally killed. Her body was dismembered in the most cruel, barbaric way. That man has to be punished. The stringent and strictest of punishments. But what do the rulers of India say? Our sisters from Assam are here. It is a shame that Assam Chief Minister goes to Gujarat to campaign and says, because Shraddha Walker's, the perpetrator's name was Aftab, belonging to the Muslim community, he says, if you don't want any Aftabs in the cities of India, vote for Modi, the strong man of India. Our movement, not just AIDWA, all the organizations who have fought for laws, for change, for recognition. Remembering Mathura, that young Adivasi girl. We have fought for justice. We have not said what caste, what religion does the perpetrator belong to. 86 women are raped every day on average in India. More than 6,000 women are burnt to death for dowry every year in India. More than 4 lakh cases of domestic abuse and violence are registered in India. Are they all Aftabs? You want to communalize crime against women? You want to ask me, do I know the religion of my rapist? And when it is a question of caste, atrocities against Dalit women, then you stand in favor of your Manuvadi ideology and support the upper caste. So this is what it means when you have communalism, when secularism becomes a dirty word, when anybody who raises their voice is thrown into jail like Tista was. Those are the linkages. And violence against women, the gravest danger, and please don't underestimate it. Because the courts, the police, the different wings of the state all being taken over by the BJP government, compromised, their autonomy being smashed, the National Commission of Women, the shame of it, we fought for it. Malanidhi and Subhashini were there in parliament at that time. We fought for it. Women's movements outside and our women MPs inside parliament for autonomy. And this is a national commission which does not say a word on Bilkis Banu, does not say a word on this horrible thing. And now this sexual harassment in Haryana, the sports coach, they are defending the minister. What is this? Communalization of crimes against women is going to be the greatest disaster for us. Those are the linkages. And women are at the center of it. Our bodies, our minds. We are the repositories of all the cultures that all the centuries of exploiters and patriarchal notions and practices want to impose on any society. It is us. हम हैं जो इसके मैदान हैं, ये तमाम शक्तियों की, जिस पे उनकी नफरत भरी आवाजें, उनकी नीतियां, उनकी समझ, उनके विचार हमारे शरीर पर. So we are at the center of this cultural, social, economic assault on India. We are the center, India's women. And you, my dear beloved sisters of AIDWA, you, with your links with the mass of women, are best placed. You have taken up the challenge. I congratulate you. I congratulate the leaders of AIDWA. In the worst of times in COVID, you reached out, you energized the organization, and you broke that barrier of silence. So congratulations to our AIDWA leadership, the teamwork at the center in the States. It has been a very inspiring read of the conference reports, and I'm sure all of you working together as AIDWA will also reach out to once again mobilize and strengthen the united women's movements. It is essential today to provide that platform on an issue-based or a wider platform that is up to you to decide. But in strengthening our independent work, we need also very much to strengthen our role in bringing individuals, professionals, intellectuals, women's organizations and groups across India together to challenge, to resist, and to defeat these dark forces represented by the BJP and the RSS. I once again thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you very much. AIDWA Zindabad, 13 Conference Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Brinda. And we shall, of course, as you have always inspired us and set us on our way, today also, through your speech, you have done that. You have set the tone of the conference. और हम जब चर्चा करेंगे, सिर्फ इसकी याद ही हम नहीं रखेंगे, हम इससे दिशा भी लेने की ज़रूर कोशिश करेंगे. Thank you, Brinda. Now, it is my very happy duty to present before you our comrade who has come to us with the revolutionary message from Cuba, AIDWA Guevara. She is among us, and she is going to address this conference. AIDWA Guevara is, of course, we know her as the daughter of one of the most inspiring leaders, revolutionary leaders the world over. But even apart from that, she has a very important role to play in Cuba. She's a doctor. वो बच्चों के इलाज करते हैं. She's a children's doctor, and her specialization is for children in special need. And you know, वो जो क्यूबा में जो स्वास्थ्य सेवा है, वो दूसरा कुछ है. In spite of the terribly cruel sanctions imposed by imperialist American forces, Cuba has been able to provide health care not only to its own citizens, लेकिन वो सारा विश्व में, सारा दुनिया में वो डॉक्टर्स भेजते हैं. जहाँ भी डॉक्टर के ज़रूरत होती है, वो डॉक्टर्स भेजते हैं. और इस तरह के एक डॉक्टर हमारे बीच में है, ये AIDWA Guevara, and she is an ambassador of Cuba. So far as, you know, we know very little about this healthcare system in Cuba. We come to know about this very, very progressive family code only indirectly. But it is only when we get someone like AIDWA among us, we are able to appreciate what Cuba means to the entire world. Cuba is the hope of the world, and it is that message of hope in the midst of difficulties that AIDWA brings to us. I would welcome AIDWA to speak, and our very dear friend, a friend of AIDWA, a very long-standing, our friend Madhura Swaminathan, Professor Madhura Swaminathan, will be translating her speech.
¿Agua?
Aquí te vas a poner.
¿Ah? Ok, ok. Ya.
¿Qué dice?
Bandera rojo.
Queridas hermanas, amigas, compañeras, como bien saben, vengo de una isla del Caribe conocida internacionalmente por la revolución socialista que sostiene a pocas millas de distancia del imperio capitalista más agresivo y poderoso de esta tierra.
Dear sisters, friends, comrades, as you well know, I come from an island in the Caribbean known internationally for the socialist revolution, that it sustains a few miles away from the most aggressive and powerful capitalist empire on this earth.
Mi cultura es caribeña, una mezcla de negros con españoles, muy poco de indígenas y algo chino. Nuestro folclore está representado por el español, dueño de las bodegas, tienda donde se compran los alimentos, de los chinos, dueños de las tintorerías, donde lavamos la ropa, y los negros que no eran dueños de nada. De esta mezcla nace la cultura cubana, y por supuesto que cada uno puso algo de su sabiduría ancestral. Por tanto, durante siglos, las mujeres sufrimos del machismo cultural que cada una de estas entidades aportó.
My culture is Caribbean, a mixture of blacks with Spanish, very little of the indigenous and some bit of the Chinese. Our folklore is represented by the Spanish, who owned the bodegas, the stores where food was bought, the Chinese, who were owned the dry cleaning stores where we washed our clothes, and the blacks who did not own anything. Cuban culture was born from this mixture of cultures, and of course, each one contributed something of their ancestral wisdom. Therefore, for centuries, women suffered from the cultural machismo that each of these elements contributed.
Fue nuestro proceso revolucionario el que provoca otra revolución dentro de ella, y fue la emancipación de la mujer cubana. Tan temprano como en agosto de 1960, se crea la Federación de Mujeres Cubanas, que funciona en todo el país. Agrupa más de 4,5 millones de mujeres que representan más del 92% de todas las cubanas con más de 14 años de edad.
It was our revolutionary process that triggered another revolution within Cuba, and it was the emancipation of the Cuban woman. The Federation of Cuban Women was created as early as August 1960. It functions throughout the country, bringing together more than 4.5 million women. The population of Cuba is about 11 million, representing more than 92% of all Cuban women over the age of 14.
La incorporación de las mujeres al empleo y su promoción a cargos directivos siempre ha sido prioridad de la Federación de Mujeres Cubanas, provocando que cada día sean más independientes nuestras mujeres desde el punto de vista económico y social.
The incorporation of women in employment and their promotion to managerial positions has always been a priority for the Federation of Cuban Women, leading our women to be more independent from an economic and a social point of view every day.
Para que tengan una idea de los logros alcanzados, les paso algunos datos estadísticos. La ocupación total en la economía es de 4.643.008 personas, de las que somos mujeres 1.824.009, para un 39,3%.
To give you an idea of the achievements of women in Cuba, here are some statistics. First, of the total workers in the economy, which are 4,643,000, women account for about 1,082,000. That is about 39% of the workers.
La escolaridad se incrementa en todas las ocupadas. El 53,1% poseen el nivel medio superior y el 34,2% alcanza el nivel superior.
Educational levels have been going up among women, employed women. 53% have completed high school and 34% completed university education.
Las mujeres incrementan su participación en la mayoría de las categorías ocupacionales. Las directivas representan el 38,6% del total. Las técnicas llegan a un 66,6%, las administrativas a un 69%, las de servicio a un 45,4% y las operarias rebasan el 16,7%.
Women's work participation has increased in almost all occupations. Among managers, category of managers in the occupational code, women are 38.6%. Among technicians, they are 66%, two-thirds of technicians are women. Among administrative posts, women are 69%. And in services, women are 45%, and they are 16.7% of workers, skilled workers.
En la salud pública y asistencia social, somos el 70,95%. En educación representamos el 68,9%. En ciencia e innovación tecnológica se llega a ser el 49,3% y en cultura y deporte el 43,6%.
Looking at different sectors, in public health and social security, social assistance, women constitute 70.9 or 71% of workers. In education, women represent 69%. In science and technological innovation, 49% of workers are women, and in culture and sports, 44%.
En el sector agropecuario laboran 219.772 mujeres, que representa el 25% del total de la fuerza, y de ellas el 13% lo hacen directamente en las tareas productivas. El potencial científico del sistema agropecuario está compuesto por el 42% de mujeres.
There are about 2 lakh women, 219,000 women who work in the agricultural sector of Cuba. They're 25% of the agricultural workforce, and 13% of them work directly in crop operations. In the agricultural science system, the scientific system, research and extension, women are 42% of the workforce.
La agricultura urbana, suburbana y familiar es una apreciable cantera de empleos para las mujeres, alcanzando el 43% del total de sus trabajadores. Se trabaja también en la declaración de 500.000 patios 60 aniversario, experiencia que estimula la producción de alimentos en los espacios domésticos, como traspatios, terrazas, etc. Se promueve la soberanía alimentaria a través del fortalecimiento de la cultura nutricional y alimentaria, con festivales de innovación y ferias de diversidad.
Another very important area of work for women is urban, suburban, and family agriculture. 43% of workers in this sector are women. A new and special program is called the Declaration of 500,000 60th anniversary patios. A patio is like a backyard. This is a program that stimulates production of food in kitchen gardens, in backyards, in terraces, in patios. Food sovereignty is promoted through the strengthening of nutritional and food culture, through various festivals of innovation and diversity fairs.
La Federación de Mujeres Cubanas busca soluciones para las responsabilidades domésticas. Por eso se crearon los círculos infantiles, los jardines de la infancia, las casitas infantiles, las casas de los abuelos, para proteger la infancia y la edad plena y apoyar a las madres trabajadoras y a las personas mayores que no pueden quedarse solas en los hogares por problemas de salud. Además, se le brinda apoyo a las tareas hogareñas, comidas preempacadas, preelaboradas, ajustes de horarios en la red de comercio para facilitar la compra a las mujeres trabajadoras, entre otras cosas.
The Federation of Cuban Women seeks solutions for addressing domestic responsibilities of women, care responsibilities, which is why daycare centers, kindergartens, children's houses, grandparents' houses were created to protect childhood and old age and support working mothers and elderly people who cannot stay alone at home due to health problems. In addition, support is provided for household chores, pre-packaged, pre-prepared food. Adjustments are made in the timetable of commercial establishments to help working women with domestic purchases.
La mujer cubana participa activamente en la toma de decisiones en el país. En la Asamblea Nacional del Poder Popular, nuestro Parlamento, el 52,3% de los diputados son mujeres y en el Consejo de Estado el 53,3% son mujeres.
Cuban women participate actively in the decision making in the country. In the National Assembly of People's Power, she said, our parliament, 52% of the deputies are women. And in the Council of State, 53% are women.
Hay 4 mujeres gobernadoras que representan el 26,7%. 12 son vicegobernadoras para el 80%. Tenemos 88 mujeres presidentas de asambleas municipales, lo que representa el 52,7%. Y hay 58 mujeres intendentes para el 35,4%.
We have 4 women governors, that is about a quarter of all governors, 12 vice governors, or 80% of vice governors, 88 women presidents of municipal assemblies, that's 52% of presidents, and 58 women mayors.
Se trabaja en la igualdad de derechos y responsabilidades dentro y fuera del hogar, pero se hace hincapié en la educación de las nuevas generaciones a través del ejemplo personal y en la vigilancia sobre los medios de comunicación para desmontar cada vez más la imagen y el lenguaje machista en productos comunicacionales, musicales y dramáticos.
While we work on equal rights and responsibilities inside and outside the home, emphasis is placed on the education of new generations through personal example and vigilance over the media to dismantle macho images and language in communication, in music, in drama, and other cultural products.
Es muy importante la función de las casas de orientación a las mujeres y las familias, que radican en todos los municipios y que con la colaboración voluntaria de profesionales de las diferentes disciplinas de la ciencia apuntalan la formación de valores y brindan apoyo a las personas de la comunidad que lo necesitan, así como realizan adiestramientos en diferentes oficios según la demanda de la comunidad. En este año se acumulan 841 programas de adiestramiento con un alcance de más de 50,000 jóvenes beneficiados.
A very important function is played by houses for guidance of women and families. These are centers located in all municipalities and function with the voluntary contribution of professionals from different scientific disciplines who provide support to the people of the community. These homes for guidance for women conduct training in different trades across the country. This year, there were 841 training programs reaching 50,000 young women.
Con mucha seriedad, se trabaja en la prevención y enfrentamiento a la violencia de género. Se crean consejerías a nivel comunitario, funcionando en la actualidad 156 en todo el país.
We are working very seriously towards preventing and confronting gender violence. Councils have been set up at the community level. There are 156 of them in the country right now, to help in this prevention program.
Educamos a nuestros niños con el precepto martiano de nuestro José Martí, apóstol de la Revolución Cubana, de que un niño no puede pegarle a una niña ni con el pétalo de una rosa.
We educate our children with the Martian precept of our founder of the Cuban Revolution, Apostle José Martí. He said, a boy cannot hit a girl, not even with a rose petal.
Hay muchas cosas que solucionar. Hay retos que vencer, como por ejemplo la aplicación del nuevo Código de la Familia, recientemente aprobado por la mayoría de nuestra población con un 66,8%. El perfeccionamiento de las leyes que de este se derivan, la protección de la natalidad y su estímulo en un país que envejece, y muchísimas cosas más que merecen nuestra vigilancia del día a día para no perder nunca lo logrado con tanto esfuerzo y continuar perfeccionándolo, porque compañeras, nada es perfecto. Siempre hay que continuar esforzándonos para que nuestras hijas y nuestras nietas puedan vivir en un mundo mucho más justo, donde la mujer tenga plena igualdad de derechos, sea respetada y a la misma vez cuidada, porque nosotras somos el taller donde se forja la vida.
There are many things to solve, there are challenges to overcome, such as the application of the new family code, which was recently approved by a majority of 66% of the population. We have to improve and establish the laws that derive from this new family code. We have to protect the birth rate and encourage it because the country is aging. And there are many other things that deserve our day-to-day vigilance so that we never lose what we have achieved with so much effort. Because comrades, nothing is perfect. We must always continue to strive so that our daughters and granddaughters can live in a much fairer world where women have full equal rights, are respected and cared for, because we are the workshop where life is forged.
Nuestro comandante en jefe, Fidel Castro, dijo en 1965, la fuerza del trabajo de la mujer, que en el pasado se subestimaba, prácticamente se menospreciaba, la realidad de la revolución nos enseña cada vez más la importancia social y económica de la incorporación de la mujer al trabajo.
Our Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro said in 1965, women's labor force in the past was underestimated, was practically undervalued. The reality of the revolution teaches us more and more the social and economic importance of incorporating women in work.
Y esto es de una gran verdad. Para que una obra perdure, crezca y se desarrolle, es imprescindible la participación activa de la mujer, porque nosotras no solo defendemos nuestros derechos, nuestra cultura, nuestra identidad, sino que luchamos con todas las fuerzas para garantizar todo eso al fruto de nuestro vientre. Y eso nos provee de una fuerza extraordinaria para la lucha.
And this is a great truth, that for a work, for a task to last, grow and develop, the active participation of women is essential. Because we not only defend our rights, our culture, our identity, but we fight with all our might to guarantee all this to the fruit of our womb. And that provides us with extraordinary strength for this fight.
Adelante, compañeras. Hagamos juntas este mundo mejor, para todas imprescindible, y luchemos por un mañana mucho más luminoso. Hasta la victoria siempre.
Go ahead, compañeros, advance. Let's make this world a better place for all of us. Let's fight for a brighter tomorrow. Ever onward to victory. Hasta la victoria siempre.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Comrade Aleda, for being with us and for telling us about alternative routes towards women's emancipation, towards human emancipation, routes which seem to be so dark to us today. ये जो विकल्प के जो अनुभव आपने हमको दिए गए हैं, इसलिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई। हमारे साथ होने के लिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई। Now, I am going to announce a tea break for 15 minutes. Please listen. This is just for 15 minutes. Tea is outside, so please go out in your usual disciplined manner. हम सभी हमारे साथियों को बता रही हूँ कि चाय बाहर है, जरा आस्ते आस्ते धीरे धीरे। Oh, it's on this side. Tea is on this side. So आस्ते आस्ते धीरे धीरे बाहर जाइए, लेकिन जाने के बाद तुरंत चाय पी के आ जाइए। सिर्फ 15 मिनट्स के लिए ये ब्रेक है। After that, we are going to listen to our other honored guest, Tista Shetalwad. So please have your tea and come back.
During the tea break, the states which have identified the symbols of resistance, please meet Tapashi Praharaj. जो टी ब्रेक है, उसके अंदर जो हमारे संघर्ष के प्रतीक हमको जिसको सम्मानित करना है, वो जाकर तापसी प्रहराज से मिले।
मुझे आज यहाँ बुलाया आपके संगठन की तरफ से, आपकी पार्टी के। मैं व्यक्तिगत स्तर पे भी और संगठित स्तर पे भी शुक्रिया अदा तो नहीं करूँगी, क्योंकि हम संघर्ष में साथी हैं, मगर दिल से ये बात ज़रूर कहूँगी कि जब मानव अधिकार की लड़ाई, जन जंगल ज़मीन की लड़ाई, नारी संघर्ष की लड़ाई में जो भी लड़ने वाले साथी हो, हम उनके साथ में खड़े रहते हैं, तो वो संघर्ष मजबूत होता है और वो साथी भी बहुत मजबूत होती। मुझे डर लगता था साबरमती महिला जेल में, मुझे अकेलापन भी महसूस होता था, मगर एक चीज़ अगर मुझे दिन रात साथ थी परिवार और दोस्तों के अलावा, वो ये थी कि दुनिया और देश के जिले जिले और गांव के कोने से You wrote these lovely letters to me. और वो जब खत आते थे हमारे पास, when those letters used to come, 200, 300, 500, कुल मिला के 2700 मुझे मिले, तो मैं घंटों बैठ के पढ़ती थी। एंड मैं जब पढ़ती थी तो 3-4 घंटे पढ़ती थी। तो ये अकेली हमारी जो महिला साथी थे जेल में, वो हमें पूछते थे, ये क्या बात है, ये पत्रों के पीछे क्या चक्कर है तुम्हारा। और फिर मैं आपके संगठन के बारे में, जनवादी महिला आंदोलन, एडवा, कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी, अखिल भारतीय वन जन श्रमजीवी यूनियन, ऑल इंडिया यूनियन ऑफ फॉरेस्ट वर्किंग पीपल, जिसकी मैं वाइस प्रेसिडेंट भी हूँ, और जो साथियों ने भी जेल काटा है 2015-16 में, सुकालो दी ने, राजकुमार दी ने, रोमा दी ने, उनके बारे में मैं बताती थी और कहती थी कि हमारा जो है, हमारे जैसे लोगों का संघर्ष व्यक्तिगत संघर्ष नहीं है। और आपके जब पोस्टकार्ड आते थे वो 4 लाइन के साथ, तो हर पोस्टकार्ड पे एक थप्पा लगता था जेलर का, सेंसर्ड। इसका मतलब थे कि कुछ तो उन्होंने पढ़े होंगे और कुछ को शायद उनका राजनीतिकरण भी हुआ होगा, ये हमारी उम्मीद रखते हैं। Friends, we are meeting here in Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram today in the 13th National Conference. Very, very historic moment, very somber moment for our country and even the world actually. और मैं, it never fails to amaze me what a unique positioning that AIDWA has. It's a mass women's movement with a clear-cut allegiance and ideology to the left. 1 करोड़ की मेंबरशिप, शुरुआत में क्या थी हमने सुना, इतिहास उनका सुना 81 के बाद. और ये ज़रूर इट्स अ मोमेंट ऑफ सेलिब्रेशन, मुबारकबाद की बात है कि इस तरह ये संगठन एक वाइब्रेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, बॉन्डिंग और क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट से बड़ा है. और मुझे लगता है कि कई जो आपके कैंपेन्स रहे हैं, चाहे वो हरियाणा में हो, केरल में हो, कर्नाटक में हो, त्रिपुरा में हो, बंगाल में हो, कई कैंपेन्स हमने करीबी से देखा है. और वो कैंपेन्स में ये समझ आ जाती है कि जिसके बारे में वृंदा जी ने बताया, इंटरसेक्शनैलिटी जो हम जिसको कहते हैं, कि अलग अलग मुद्दों के अधिकारों की बात एक नारीवाद के चश्मे के ज़रिए समझना. और ये इंटरसेक्शनैलिटी की बात कभी कभी कड़वी भी हो सकती है, क्योंकि समुदाय, राजसत्ता उसके खिलाफ भी हो सकती है, मगर फिर भी AIDWA ने कदम उठाए, कैंपेन चलाई, इसके लिए दिल से मुबारकबाद. मगर दोस्तों, चुनौती बहुत है हमारे सामने. वी हैव ह्यूज चैलेंजेस अहेड. एंड वन ऑफ द ह्यूजेस्ट चैलेंजेस टुडे दैट आई सी, मुझे अभी भी याद है 2014 के वो दिन जब इलेक्शन के रिजल्ट आ रहे थे और मेरी दोस्त, बहुत प्यारी दोस्त जो अभी नहीं रही हमारे बीच में, वो भी नफ़रत की गोलियां से कुर्बान की गई, एक शहीद बन गई, गौरी लंकेश. उनका फ़ोन मेरे पास आता है और रोती रोती वो कहती है कि तीसरा अब क्या होगा. वो जब रिजल्ट आने लगे तो मैंने बोला, गौरी वो होना था वही होगा. और हम बर्टोल्ट ब्रेक्ट की वो लाइन हम लोग याद करते थे उस वक्त कि इन द डार्क टाइम्स विल देयर बी सिंगिंग, एंड देन यू से यस देयर विल बी सिंगिंग अबाउट द डार्क टाइम्स. और सफदर हाशमी जी ने उसका अनुवाद जो बहुत खूबसूरती से किया है हिंदुस्तानी में, वो भी याद करते हैं. बहुत सारी बातें हैं महिलाओं के अधिकार को लेकर, सांप्रदायिकता को लेकर, जातिवाद को लेकर. मैं सब बातों पे तो नहीं बात कर पाऊंगी. हमारे बीच में और भी बहुत ही समझदार और वरिष्ठ लीडर हैं, मगर कुछ चंद बातों में जिसके हमारा काम जिससे लगा हुआ है, मैं उसके ऊपर ज़रूर बताऊंगी कि एक चीज़ जो गए 8-10 साल में उभर के बहुत क्रूरता के सामने आ गया है कि जो महिला के प्रति जो हिंसा, द क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट विमेन, यस दे हैव ग्रोन, ये बड़े हैं. हमने देखा है कि ये जो सत्ता बैठी है, इसको हम रेजीम कहते हैं. मैं तो रेजीम कहती हूँ, मैं तो गवर्नमेंट शब्द भी नहीं इस्तेमाल करती हूँ, क्योंकि एक रेजीम है. वो एक पॉलिटिकल, सोशल, रिलीजियस राइट और फार इकोनॉमिक राइट का एक कॉम्बिनेशन है. और ये स्थिति में महिलाओं का दर्जा गिरता जा रहा है, हिंसा बढ़ती जा रही है. वो तो हम देख रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, टीवी चैनल्स तो बहुत खुशी से ये बात दिखा देते हैं. मगर बिहाइंड द क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट विमेन देयर आर 2 थिंग्स दैट स्टैंड आउट फॉर मी. मैं भी लेट टीनेज से फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट से साथ जुड़ी हुई हूँ, यूनियन मूवमेंट से जुड़ी हुई, बॉम्बे यूनियन ऑफ जर्नलिस्ट हो या विमेन अगेंस्ट मीडिया हो, तो कुछ तो समझ हमारी बनी है वहाँ. मगर हाँ, हिंसा होती थी, आज भी हो रही है. क्रूरता तब भी थी, क्रूरता आज भी है. But the levels of violence and the level of cruelty and the level of killing accompanied by the voyeurism, मतलब उसको देख के खुश होना, ये एक जो फिनोमिनन है वो एक रीसेंट फिनोमिनन है. और दूसरी एक बात जिसको जुड़कर हमारा काम बहुत करीबी से जुड़ा हुआ है, कि ऐसे कुछ इंसिडेंट को शोकेस करके वही हिंसा को बार बार दिखाना, जहां पे आरोपी या जो एक्यूज्ड हैं वो तबके से हैं जो तबका वैसे भी आपके लिए एक दुश्मन है. So the point is, there are two aspects to the crimes against women. One is that the sheer banality and the cruelty has grown, and the voyeurism has grown. And the second is that the selective showcasing of some of these incidents where the violence is taking place is suiting the mindset and ideology of the regime in power to further other and make enemy of our own people and communities and sections within us. तो ये हमारे महिला आंदोलन के लिए, it's a huge challenge for the women's movement. I still remember the days, and I'm talking about the days very, very far back. I'm talking about the 80s, 90s, when this phenomenon was growing. एक तरफ से आपके neoliberal policies लाए गए देश में, और दूसरी तरफ से हमारे राम मंदिर आंदोलन की शुरुआत से इस तरह का एक बहुसंख्यकवाद, majoritarianism was thrown as a challenge to Indian constitutional democracy. कि नहीं, जो हमको नहीं मिला 47 में, जो हमें 47 में नहीं मिला, 1950 में नहीं मिला, अभी हम लेके रहेंगे. Unfinished agenda of the far right. क्योंकि उनको तभी भी नहीं अच्छा लग रहा था कि हमारा संविधान लिखा गया, किस तरह लिखा गया, वगैरह वगैरह. तो in the mid 80s and early 80s also जो हमने देखा और हमने पाया उस वक्त कि ये जो एक तरह की राजनीति है वो हमारे संगठित इमेंसिपेटरी पॉलिटिक्स को बहुत बड़ा चुनौती देने वाली है. इसीलिए हमारे यूनियंस के अंदर भी, हमारे फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट के अंदर भी दरारें खड़े हो गए थे. दरारें नहीं तो कंफ्यूजन तो खड़े हो गए थे कि हम इसको किस तरह हम फेस करें. एंड टुडे दैट हैज रीच्ड एन अक्यूट प्रोपोर्शन. इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि हमारे कैंपेन्स के साथ साथ हमें एक तरह सोच की क्लैरिटी ऑफ विजन एंड क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट हमको बार बार हमारे बीच में साफ करनी पड़ेगी. और इसीलिए मैं आपके सामने एक बात रखना चाहती हूँ जो मैं बार बार एज अ स्टूडेंट एंड ऑफ लॉ एंड हिस्ट्री कहती हूँ कि क्या आपको लगता है कि जो हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रियलिटी थी, जो बड़े संघर्ष के बाद बनी, विभाजन और बंटवारे के बावजूद, that despite the brutality and bloodiness of partition, we opted for a constitutional democratic socialist secular republic. Do you think that that would have just happened without the mass will of the Indian people? ये सिर्फ हाँ ठीक है, हमने कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली की हम तारीफ करते हैं, वहाँ पे महिला जो बैठी थी, आदिवासी भाई जो बैठे थे, डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर तो एक यूनिक पर्सनालिटी थे, मगर was it a question of just the leadership? And I always say that this country threw up for centuries, and particularly in the 200 years of colonial rule, a challenge to structured injustice and a demand for emancipatory governance. अगर आप 1931 का कराची रेजोल्यूशन कांग्रेस का देखते हैं, जहाँ पे फंडामेंटल राइट्स, वर्कर्स राइट्स, फार्मर्स राइट्स, विमेन्स राइट्स पहली बार उसको मान्यता दी जाती है, उसके पहले एक एलीट टाइप का एक मांगे थी. तो क्या वो कराची रेजोल्यूशन पास होता अगर किसान सभा के लाखों के संख्या में हमारे किसान और हमारे कामगार मोबिलाइज नहीं किए जाते वामपंथी ताकतों के जरिए? The influence of left mobilization, workers mobilization, women's mobilization, farmers mobilization, agrarian mobilization, demanding a fair and equitable governance, influenced the constitution makers of this country. और उसके पहले भी मैं कहती हूँ कि ये जो पार्श्वभूमि है दक्षिण एशिया की, the South Asia, this land, yes, we have breathed internationalism, we have learnt from the struggles in the Soviet Republic, from China, from Cuba, and we are inspired by them. But there's also been a very indigenous challenge to the structures of caste, patriarchy and class. आप कर्नाटक में जाएंगे तो बसवन्ना, केरल में आएंगे तो नारायण गुरु, कबीर, एकनाथ, तुकाराम, नामदेव, फुले, कौन सी ऐसे ताकतें नहीं थी हमारे बीच में? बौद्ध, जो हम बौद्ध धर्म कहते हैं, मगर बौद्ध एक सोच विचार है, the Buddhist thought, which was atheist, which questioned caste structure. So there's always been an impulse on this soil to question discrimination, inequality, and injustice. And at some point it took a modern form under colonial rule, and the mass movement, and we should never forget, हमारा इतिहास 2014 तक भी पूरा लिखा नहीं गया था. It was an incomplete project. When you've seen a kind of proto-fascist right-wing takeover, वो अधूरा रह गया है. Because let's also not forget that today we are called a partially electoral democracy, and electoral autocracy. इस तरह के शब्द भारत हिंदुस्तान के बारे में इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं. But we need to understand that there was an assault in 1975 as well, between 75 and 77, on this structure, because लोकशाही और जनवाद को मजबूत बनाने के लिए सिर्फ एक ढांचा काफी नहीं है. लोगों का संघर्ष बार बार सत्ता के सामने होना पड़ता है ताकि वो जनवाद और लोकतंत्र वाकई ही डेमोक्रेटिक गवर्नेंस की तरफ बढ़े and moves away from discriminatory governance. We were a work in progress. इसीलिए जब हम आदिवासी बहन भाइयों के साथ मैं संविधान के बारे में जब बात करती हूँ, शेड्यूल 5, शेड्यूल 9, शेड्यूल 12, 11 के बारे में, तो वो सुनते ज़रूर हैं. बाकी बाद में बहनें मुझे कहती हैं, आप एक बात मुझे बता दीजिए कि 56 साल क्यों लगे हमारा कानून पास होने के लिए? Why did it take 56 years for the Indian Parliament to pass the Scheduled Tribes and Scheduled Rights, the Forest Rights Act of 2006? So democracy is a work in progress. Our democracy at 75 years has taken a jolt of the last 10 years. Even before that, we were a work in progress. And today what we are seeing is a rule by executive fiat, police raid, and the worst is the criminalization and weaponization of laws. कानून के जरिए नाइंसाफी हम देख रहे हैं. That is what we are witnessing in the last 8 or 9 years. 135 crore people. And how much do we spend per annum on access to justice? न्याय के लिए 0.75 पैसा of a rupee. Access to justice, Article 39 Directive Principle कहता है कि good legal aid must be the right of every Indian. मगर न्याय, इंसाफ, बेल पाना, कोर्ट में जाना, केस लड़ना, ये तो बस कुछ तबकों के लिए ही आसान है. और आज भी हमारी न्याय व्यवस्था, our criminal justice system, has not been democratized. In 1947, we became independent. 1950, we gave ourselves the constitution. But when we passed the Zamindari Act, for instance, 123 crores of forest land was not brought within its ambit. 123 करोड़ एकड़ जो हमारी जंगल जमीन थी, वो जमींदारी एक्ट के अंदर नहीं लाई गई. क्योंकि एक चक्कर चलता है ना जब पार्लियामेंट बनता है तो, थैंक यू सो मच, कि which demands are kept, are there enough worker representatives, are there enough forest आदिवासी representatives, are there enough women's representatives, etc. etc. तो ये सब सवाल हमारे सामने आते गए हैं, जाते गए हैं, और हर वक्त पे, हर क्षण पे वामपंथी सोच, सोशलिस्ट सोच ने भारत के राजनीति पे डिस्प्रपोर्शनेट इन्फ्लुएंस किया है. आज because of this assault by the proto-fascist regime, which is both far political, socio-religious right and economic right, it's becoming very difficult to organize. कोविड महामारी में 2-2.5 साल के बीच में घरेलू हिंसा बढ़ गया. We saw the increase of domestic violence. We saw women being thrown out of jobs. We also saw huge and very crude levels of hate and bias against our minority communities. और मुझे इतना ही कहना है क्योंकि बहुत सारे व्यक्ता हैं बोलने के लिए, बहुत सारी चीज़ ऑलरेडी बोली गई है, मगर जब आप एक इलेक्टोरल ढांचे के बीच में विद इन द स्कोप ऑफ एन इलेक्टोरल डेमोक्रेसी, जहाँ पे आपका इलेक्शन कमीशन, आपकी जुडिशरी के कोई हिस्से, आपके पैसे का हिस्सा, द फाइनेंसेस दैट गवर्न इलेक्शंस, ये सब चीज़ें पे अगर आपने एक पूरा कंट्रोल लगा दिया और उसके बाद आप कहते हैं कि हम इलेक्शन जीत भी रहे हैं और हमारी सरकार बन भी रही है, और फिर वही जो सांसद बनता है और असेंबली बनते हैं, आप वैसे कानून आप पास करते हैं जहाँ पे न बराबरी की बात हो, न समानता की बात हो, न आर्टिकल 14 या 15 की बात हो. So we are seeing a farce of a democracy, whereas the secretary of the Communist Party recently said, Parliament is being used to demolish the constitution brick by brick. So UAPA, one law, PMLA, another law. UAPA का इतिहास बड़ा अनोखा है और ये कहना ज़रूरी है कभी कभी, और हमारे जैसे लोग कहेंगे तो इसका और मतलब बनता है कि आप पहले हमारा राज सत्ता जो है, we had got TARA earlier. TARA was around for 10 years. Then we brought POTA in 2003 as an ordinance. Then it came 2004 as an act. Huge movement to repeal POTA because of the injustices during NDA-1. And it was a promise in the Common Minimum Program of the UPA-1 government that we will repeal POTA. So yes, the left, 63 seats in parliament, was an outside supporter of that government. It was repealed. POTA was repealed. But what did the government do? They they amended a 1960s law, the UAPA, and brought in all the permanent provisions of POTA and TARA, more stringent provisions in a 2008 amendment, in a 2011 amendment, and then of course it was made worse by 2014 and 19 amendment. उस वक्त मुझे याद है, the only opposition in parliament was from the left parties. Don't worry, I'll keep it. Opposition was only from the left parties that do not have a permanent counter-terrorism law. The moment you do that, you will criminalize protest. Abhi, Gujarat mein, a law has been passed by which the police is going to be allowed to just arrest people if they break the 144 section. आपको ये भी पता होगा, your protesters, आप आंदोलनकारी हैं, you know that section 144 is normally in place 24/7 in major of our cities. ऐसा कभी एक वक्त नहीं होता है जहाँ पे 144 नहीं लागू किया जाता है. So the criminalization of our laws, the use of the law to suppress dissent, is a sure sight of a police state in functioning. Now, Azadi ke baad, we did not amend our laws. We did not amend the CRPC and the Police Act. और अभी हम वही पुलिस को जिसको हमने पूरा लिबरेट नहीं किया था, उसको हम और भी हथियार दे रहे हैं. And that is what I want to flag here, कि हमारे बाकी कैंपेन्स के साथ साथ, जिसमें आप घरेलू हिंसा हो, बाकी हिंसा हो, जो भी हो, इसके साथ साथ ये कानून के बारे में आपको हर वक्त आवाज़ उठाना ही चाहिए. प्लीज़, ये हमारी आपसे एक अपील है. और दूसरी बात, हमारे अल्पसंख्यक, हमारे दलित बहन भाई के साथ जब नफरत भरी राजनीति की बात बार बार उठाई जाती है, we need from bottom upwards to protest. Hate politics and hate writing simmers for 2, 3, 6 months before violence or a genocide occurs. मैंने ये देश के कम से कम 75 या 80 जुडिशियल कमीशन रिपोर्ट्स पढ़े हैं जो सांप्रदायिक हिंसा को लेकर, और दो चीज़ में उसमें शामिल होता है कि नफरत भरे ज़बान और नफरत भरे लेख, they work to make the majority silent. And what we must assure ourselves and promise ourselves is that left-thinking people should never be silent. We should speak up against hate speech. We could speak up against hate writing. We should complain. We should take these issues to the courts. और दूसरी बात कि जहाँ पे UAPA, गुंडाज एक्ट, क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट जैसे कानून का मिसयूज होता है, तो आपको उसके बारे में भी, हमको उसके बारे में भी आवाज़ उठाना ही पड़ेगा. आर्थिक व्यवस्था हमारी बहुत बुरी हो रही है. जो अमीर है वो ज़्यादा अमीर होते जा रहे हैं. मध्यम वर्गीय के नौकरियां छीनी जा रही है, और बाकी जो हमारे कामगार वर्किंग क्लास लोग हैं वो किस तरह हमारी उनकी निजी ज़िंदगी काटते हैं वो शायद व्यक्त भी नहीं होता. मगर आखिरी बात मैं कहना चाहूँगी, क्योंकि मानवाधिकार कार्यकर्ता होने के साथ साथ आई एम ऑल्सो अ जर्नलिस्ट. And I feel when history is being written or will be written about the last 9 years, the real story will be about the abdication of the media. पत्रकार और पत्रकारिता ने जिस तरह, पत्रकारिता के माध्यम ने जिस तरह, इंडिविजुअल पत्रकार की बात मैं नहीं करती हूँ, क्योंकि many individual journalists with great courage have stood up to their owners and establishment. But the media establishment has completely succumbed to corporatization, to authoritarianism, and has become a virtual lackey of the government. And this failure of the media, particularly electronic commercial media, to turn its eye and question government policies, to question the central government's attack on federalism, to question the selective governance of this government, I think is one of the singular responsibilities that the media will have to take for an inability of an alternate politics to vibrantly emerge. जब पत्रकार माध्यम कुछ सच्चाई के साथ अपना काम करता है तो संघर्ष मजबूत होते हैं. इतिहास ने ये देखा है, और आज हम ये इस दौर से गुजर रहे हैं जहाँ पे पत्रकार के माध्यम के जरिए न सिर्फ नफरत पैदा की जा रही है, मगर पूरा एक प्रोपेगेंडा टूल सरकार का बन गया है. तो चुनौती बहुत गहरी भी है, लंबी भी है, and it sometimes can get overwhelming. But I still believe that if at the 13th conference of AIDWA, you can have such a vibrant presence from so many Indian states which are very difficult for women and women's rights, whether we are talking about family, society, community or state, I think hope can never be lost. और मुझे लगता है कि हमें अलायंस बनाने पड़ेंगे वामपंथी और ऑपोजिशन ताकतों के साथ. हमें ये तय करना पड़ेगा कि चाहे ग्राम पंचायत, जिला परिषद, असेंबली या पार्लियामेंट हो, there should be a one-point agenda that we cannot allow this force to come to power. क्योंकि ये जो ताकत है, ये जो रेजीम है, वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेमोक्रेसी में मानता ही नहीं है. उनके किताब खुद कहते हैं that we believe in the overthrow of the Indian Constitution. और इसीलिए मैंने लिखा था 2015 में, जब मैंने एक छोटी किताब निकाली थी गांधी जी के assassination पर, मैंने उसमें लिखा था that the bullets shot on Gandhi on 30th of January 1948 were the first declaration of intent of the far right on the fledgling Indian democracy and to become constitutional republic. It was an attack, it was a declaration of intent कि हम वो नहीं होने देंगे जो ये देश के लोग चाहते हैं. और वही जो अटैक 30 जनवरी को हुआ, वो 6 दिसंबर 92 को और भी खतरनाक तरीके से एक इंटेंट था कि देखिए हम कर भी देंगे, दिखा भी देंगे, खून भरी यात्रा निकालेंगे और वो यात्रा को सफल बना करके एक तबके को अपना दर्जा दिखाएंगे. So this politics of discriminatory governance, this politics of rightly, as Comrade Brinda said, that it's Hindutva, it's not Hinduism. It's a politics that believes in structural discriminatory governance, in discriminatory citizenship. And you cannot talk about bad laws without talking about the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019, and the proposed NRC and NPR. हमारा संगठन Citizens for Justice and Peace आसाम में 19 जिलों में काम कर रहा है. हम नहीं कर रहे हैं, हमारे युवक काम कर रहे हैं. वो हर तबके से हैं, वो आसामीज है, बंगाली है, सांथाली है, और वो जो काम कर रहे हैं वो आम भारतीय वासी को नागरिकता पाने का काम कर रहे हैं. Out of the 3.3 crore population of Assam, 1.3 crores were first declared non-Indians by the NRC. After that, 44 lakhs. After that, 19 lakhs. Even now, 22 lakh people in Assam have this sword of Damocles hanging over their head. Agar, if all India NPR, NRC is implemented, and I compliment the Kerala government and other state governments for opposing it, if we allow the implementation of this discriminatory policy, it will take our movement several years back. क्योंकि आपको और कोई मुद्दे पे आपको काम करने का चांस नहीं मिलेगा. आप आसाम को देख लीजिए, 1700 करोड़ रुपया, 1700 crores the state has spent on the NRC. Useless exercise. And now they want to do another NRC. It is nothing but a project to criminalize a section of our people, to render them stateless, and possibly to create large economic labor camps for corporate capital. I'm not barking in the dark. Assam is a dire situation. So I think we should never forget that a campaign against CA, NRC, and PR should always figure in all our other campaigns. Thank you very, very much for inviting me here. And I'm sorry if I've taken too much time. Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry if I went over time. No.
So, thank you, Tista, and I hope through our struggles very soon we shall be able to reach a situation where no more Tistas will have to go to jail or speaking up on behalf of justice. Now, as Brinda was telling you, हमारे बीच में ऐसे महिलाएं हैं जो ताकत के साथ, हिम्मत के साथ जो ये खतरनाक स्थिति का सामना किया है. तो तिस्ता भी ऐसी एक हमारे साथी है. तो तिस्ता को हम फेलिसिटेट कर रहे हैं. और after Tista, there are 5 more very courageous women from our ranks. हमारे AIDWA के साथियों ऐसे हैं. कोई राज्यों से 5 इस तरह के symbols of resistance है. State 5 such symbols of resistance, women who have fought against the enemy forces, जो दुश्मनों के खिलाफ लड़े हैं, with great courage. We are going to felicitate them now, and this this part of the program will be conducted by Comrade Vasuki and Comrade Tapashi.
Yeah. My dear comrades, now we have come to the most important event of our inaugural session, felicitating symbols of resistance and achievers. The dangers, challenges, resistance, and hope which were expressed on this dais since morning, they are just not words. They are happening around us, and our women are facing these challenges squarely and displaying extraordinary courage and resistance. There are so many among us, but here we are introducing and felicitating 5 such comrades. Gohana, Senapati district, Haryana. She is from Butana village, Gohana. She played an extremely important role in the historic farmers' struggle of 2020 and helped to establish the identity of women as farmers. On 26 November 2020, when the farmers were stopped on the borders of Delhi, district of Senapati became very important since it was on the Delhi-Haryana Singhu border. As a part of the democratic movement in Haryana and a leader of AIDWA, she played a very important role in sustaining the protest. Sheila was one of the leaders who mobilized farmers and favorable public opinion in villages on the Singhu border. She wrote songs and mobilized women through this process, collected food and donations, and participated in local dharnas and demonstrations in solidarity with the farmers. Sheila, who is from a middle peasant family, joined Janvadi Mahila Samiti in 2004 and has been a state committee member. She was also the president of the district committee of Senapati district, and she has served at different levels of the organization. She has also been in the district committee of the All India Kisan Sabha. Even in the most adverse circumstances, Sheila showed the way to combat conservative customs in her village. She stopped wearing the gunkat and inspired other women also to do the same. They together carried out movements for water and electricity in their village, for which many false cases were lodged against them. Since they achieved some success in their endeavors, they became well known in the region. At the age of 60, Sheila continues to organize women for their emancipation. Such an inspiring story. Let us felicitate her.
साठ साल की शीला जी जो हरियाणा के सेनापति ज़िले से है, ये वो ज़िला है जो सिंघू बॉर्डर उसी के अंदर आते हैं। और आप सबको मालूम है कि 2020 साल जो नवंबर 26 को जो किसान का मोर्चा दिल्ली के और आगे बढ़ रहे थे, तब वहीं पे उन लोगों को रोका गया था। और तब से वो जो किसानों जो है सिंघू बॉर्डर पर रुके हुए थे मोर्चे में, और उसी समय एक एडवा कार्यकर्ता होते हुए और किसान होते हुए भी उन्होंने सेनापति गांव के अंदर जाके जो आम जनता के साथ साथ महिलाओं की भी किसान सोनीपत जिला सेनापति लगा है आप लोग सोनीपत जिला की, तो गांव-गांव जाके आम जनता की जो एकजुट करने के साथ साथ जो महिलाओं हैं उनको भी एकजुट किया अपने भाषण के जरिए और गाने के जरिए, और जो किसान आंदोलन के समर्थन में उनको एकजुट किया, निकाला उनके समर्थन में। और सिर्फ ना एकजुटता प्रकट की, बाकी उनको जो आंदोलनकारी थे उनके लिए खाना भेजना, पैसा इकट्ठा करना और सारे जो उनके लिए चाहिए वो उन्होंने उनको दिया। और अभी तक वो जो लड़ाई में वो अंतिम समय तक वो उनके साथ थे और उसको आगे लिया। जो महिला मोर्चा, खासकर जो सिंघू बॉर्डर में जो हमको इतना महिला दिख दे रहे थे जो आंदोलन के समय, जो उनके नेतृत्व में शीला जी बहुत आगे थे। और अभी वो हरियाणा की जो हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कमेटी का सोनीपत डिस्ट्रिक्ट का प्रेसिडेंट है और महिला आंदोलन के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। और ख़ास बात यह है कि वो मैं अभी उस आंदोलन के बाद से वो जो है खुद तो घूंघट नहीं ओढ़ते और महिलाओं के भी इंसिस्ट करते हैं, इंस्पायर करते हैं कि वो भी घूंघट छोड़ के आंदोलन में आगे शामिल हुए। नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट आवर प्रेसिडेंट मालिनी दी टू फेलिसिटेट शीला।
এদিকে চলো মাসে একটু আগে 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 ওইদিকে ওইদিকে যাও দিতাও দিতাও এ না जनवादी महिला समिति जिंदाबाद हमारी मेहनत जिंदाबाद साझा संघर्ष जिंदाबाद लाल श्याम
शीला एक मिनट We invite Revati onto the dais. She is from Kadalur, Tamil Nadu. Her husband Subramanian, when he was 35 years old, he was killed in police custody in the year of 2015. He was kept in illegal detention and cruelly tortured by the police. Through this process, he was subsequently killed in the year of 2015. From that time onwards, AIDWA and other left democratic organizations supported her only through the initial struggle. A case was filed in the Nellikuppam police station. Then the case was handed over to CBCID. CBCID charge-sheeted all the 3 police persons, but then they did not file a case under SC/ST Act, and they did not file the murder charge also. These 2 are the crucial sections, and CBCID did not file both the sections. Then we approached the Madras High Court, and the High Court directed the Kadalur CBCID police to include these 2. But in spite of High Court's direction, the accused were dilly-dallying, purposely delaying the process. Then finally, after 7 years of legal battle and struggle on the streets, these 2 sections, SC/ST Act as well as the murder charge, they were included. This is a victory at this stage, but our struggle has to continue till we get full justice. At present, Revati and her 4 children are under the care of AIDWA and other left organizations. And through the intervention of various organizations, court has directed government of Tamil Nadu to give her a compensation of 33 lakhs, and she recently received the compensation. Today, Revati is proudly working as Nellikuppam Town Secretary of AIDWA and District Treasurer of AIDWA, Kadalur District.
रेवती, उसकी उम्र 35 साल है। 28 मई 2015 को उनको जो हस्बैंड सुब्रमण्यम, उनको लोकल पुलिस जो है उनको उठा के लेके गए और थाना के लॉकअप में डाल दिए गए। वहाँ पर उनके ऊपर इतना अत्याचार हुए कि उनका मृत्यु हो गया। उसके बाद रेवती ने उनका जो है पति उनको न्याय दिलाने के लिए ठान ली है और केस रजिस्टर्ड किया लोकल थाने में। लेकिन वहाँ पे जब कुछ नहीं हुआ, तब जो है जो डेमोक्रेटिक जो आंदोलन के जो साथियों हैं उनके साथ से सहयोग से इन केस को फिर जो CID जो है उसमें ट्रांसफ़र किया गया और उनमें जो उस कोर्ट में राय दिया है कि जो पुलिस थाने के जो 3 मेन पुलिस अधिकारी थे उस समय उनको ऊपर ये केस दर्ज किया जाए। लेकिन उसमें 2 जो मुख्य जो दाबी जो सेक्शन लगाना चाहिए था, एक जो है मर्डर केस का, हत्या का, और दूसरा जो ST/SC का केस जो लगाया था वो नहीं था। तो इसके लिए
इन्होंने जो है आगे हाई कोर्ट में गए और हाई कोर्ट का जो आदेश के अनुसार जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट है कुडालूर, उन्होंने मजबूर होकर ये जो है कि जो दफ़ा है 302 जो मर्डर केस का और SC/ST केस का उसके ऊपर लगाए गए। अभी भी ये केस चल रहा है और अभी आपको इनको जो है एज ए कॉम्पेंसेशन 33 लाख उनको मिला है और लेकिन उन्होंने बोला है कि अब तक जब तक उनको न्याय नहीं मिलेगा, उनके पति को न्याय नहीं मिलेगा तो उन तक वो लड़ते रहेंगे। और नाउ अभी वो हमारी AIDWA की जो है वो एक सक्रिय जो है साथी है, नेता है और उनका जो लोकल एरिया की सेक्रेटरी भी है और कुडालूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट का जो है कोषाध्यक्ष भी उन्होंने अभी वो है और हाँ टाउन सेक्रेटरी है, ये साइड द टाउन सेक्रेटरी एंड डिस्ट्रिक्ट ट्रेजरर है। तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ और इस पूरी लड़ाई में हमारी AIDWA ने जो न्यायपालिका की जो लड़ाई है उसमें साथ दिया ऐसा नहीं, उनका जो 4 बच्चे को जो प्रतिपोषण करने के लिए भी साथ दिया, अभी तक साथ में है। और मैं अभी रिक्वेस्ट करूँगी कॉमरेड हमारी जनरल सेक्रेटरी कॉमरेड मारियम कि उनको फेलिसिटेट करें।
Next, we invite Fullara Mandal, Lalgarh, West Medinipur, West Bengal. Comrade Fullara Mandal comes from a poor agricultural family and was the AIDWA secretary first of Lalgarh local committee from 1982 to 88 and then of the Gwaltar zone. She was an elected member of the Zilla Parishad from 1983 to 98 and was also the Karmadhikari of the Zilla Parishad from 93 to 98. Her capacity to organize at the grassroots level made her a familiar and much respected figure in the area. Between 2005 and 2011, Maoist TMC goons penetrated the Lalgarh area, attacking and killing many left-wing activists in the region. At that time, when it was difficult for anyone associated with the left to move around in the area, Fullara did not leave her area, but continued to resist courageously the depredations of these murderous goons. As a result, she was implicated in a number of false cases, and she was forced to go underground between 2011 and 2014. After that, she was put in jail on a number of false charges and faced all the difficulties of jail life between 2014 and 2022, 8 whole years. After she got bail and came out of jail, she proudly said, "I am not afraid of all this. I shall continue to do the work of the organization in the area." Now she is a newly elected State Committee member of AIDWA in West Bengal. Let us appreciate her courage and express our solidarity to Fullara Mandal as well as to the fighting comrades of West Bengal AIDWA.
फुल्लोरा मंडल जो एक गरीब खेत मजदूर परिवार से है और वो एडवा के साथ लोकल लेवल से जो है उन्होंने काम शुरू किया, वहाँ के लीडर बने और फिर उन्होंने 1982 से 1988 तक जो लालगढ़ लोकल कमेटी है, लालगढ़ जो जंगल महल के एरिया के रूप से जाना जाता है, जो मिदनापुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है, पश्चिम मिदनापुर में, तो उसी एरिया के और सेक्रेटरी पहले बने। फिर उन्होंने जो है ग्वालतर जो जोनल एरिया है वहाँ की भी सेक्रेटरी बने। फिर उन्होंने जिला परिषद की जो है मेंबर वहाँ वो भी चुने गए और उसके बाद वो जिला परिषद के कर्माध्यक्ष भी बने। 1993 से 1998 तक वो जिला परिषद के कर्माध्यक्ष रह चुके हैं और उस समय रहते हैं वो पूरा ग्रास रूट लेवल में जो है लोगों की न्याय देने के लिए और लोगों के अधिकार के लिए काम करते रहे। लेकिन 2005 से 2011 के बीच 2005 से बाद से जब वहीं पे जो तृणमूल कांग्रेस और माओवादी के जो है उसके जो गठजोड़ के जो उनके जो उन दोनों का जो मिला जुला जो था उनके साजिश के चलते हुए उनके ऊपर जो है झूठे जो है मुकदमा चलाया गया। उसके चलते उनको काफ़ी दिन जो है अंडरग्राउंड में रहना पड़ा। फिर 2014 में उनको गिरफ्तार किया गया और 8 साल से ज़्यादा उन्होंने जेल में रहे हैं। अभी 2022 के अंत में अभी उन्होंने जेल से रिलीज़ हुए और वो उनको जेल से जमानत मिली, बेल उनको जमानत मिली है अभी और वो आज हमारे साथ है और एडवा के लीडर है और उनको कहना है कि मैं किसी से डरती नहीं, ना मैं डरी हुई हूँ, ना मैं डरूंगी और मेरा जो काम है संगठन के आगे लेने के लिए मैं ये काम करती रहूंगी। Now I request Subhashini Ali to felicitate her.
I will just add, Fulora Di, after coming out from jail, did not even rest for one day in her house. Immediately she went the next day to an AIDWA struggle and AIDWA program.
Comrade, red salute, comrade. Edward Jindabad. Edward Jindabad. Edward Jindabad.
इधर सामने कमेंट सामने फ्रंट में आ जाओ।
Next we invite Sanjukta Sethi, Nayagar, Odisha. Where is she? Sanjukta Sethi is 46 years old and she belongs to an underprivileged washerman community which is considered an untouchable caste. She was married at the age of 16. Now she is a mother of 4 children. She became the victim of superstition when she got fever just 13 days after her marriage. Suspecting black magic, her mother-in-law tortured her physically and even took her to a self-proclaimed God-man. She faced all that. In the early days, poverty had forced her family into bonded labor. But now she works as a washer person for 30 households in her village. As payment, she gets 11 kilo of paddy per year from each household. Though she was always worried about the condition of her community, she was clueless about how to fight, where to start, etc. But things changed once she came into contact with AIDWA and started attending its meetings. With the help of AIDWA, she united her community to fight against the system of bonded labor. To improve their economic condition, she also formed different self-help groups and tried to get women loans from the banks. As banks were reluctant to give loans, women were forced to take credit from microfinance institutions. This led to many women being entrapped in a vicious cycle of indebtedness. This was especially true of Dalit women. Many of them had to mortgage all their assets, including their brass utensils, mixer, and even the ration cards, to get out of the debt trap. At the time of COVID, when women were unable to pay regular monthly installments, MFI agents misbehaved with women and charged additional interest on remaining dues. When women refused to pay the excess money or excess interest, recovery agents harassed and abused women. Sanjukta provided leadership to these women, and under her leadership, the victims lodged complaints against MFI agents and conducted a demonstration before the police station. So police was forced to take action and directed relevant authorities of the MFIs to resolve the problem. So finally, the MFI agents were made to apologize for the misconduct towards women in front of the entire village, and they were instructed that the women should not be charged any additional interest on the remaining dues. Sanjukta's leadership is not only limited to her village, but as an AIDWA leader, she successfully expanded the massive protest to protect women from MFIs in the whole of Nayagar district.
संजुक्ता सेठी जो नयागढ़ जिला उड़ीसा से है, उनका उम्र है 46 इयर्स, और वो जो है एससी कम्युनिटी जो धोबी कम्युनिटी से हैं, और एक बंधुआ मजदूर के रूप से अभी भी काम कर रहे हैं। और अभी भी हर दिन उनको जो है 30 घर का, गांव में जो 30 घर है, उनको कपड़ा उनको सुबह धोना पड़ता है, और उसके बदले उनको साल में 11 केजी जो है पैडी मिलता है। बहुत 13 साल की उम्र में उनके शादी हुई थी, और शादी के तुरंत के बाद उनको जब बुखार आए तो उनके सास और उनके गांव वालों ने सोचा कि उनके ऊपर कुछ काला जादू है और वो कुछ काला जादू करते हैं, तो इसीलिए उनको जो है ना झाड़ फूकने वाले उनके पास ले गए और उनके ऊपर टॉर्चर किए कि उनको घर से निकाला दिया जाए। तो वो उसके लड़ने के बाद उससे वो लड़ते हैं। फिर धीरे धीरे जब आगे वो एडवा के साथ उनको वो कॉन्टैक्ट में आते हैं, जनवादी महिला के समिति के साथ वो कॉन्टैक्ट में आते हैं, तब वो खुद जो अपने हक की जो लड़ाई है वो लड़ने के लिए सोचते हैं, और गांव में जो उनके कम्युनिटी का जो महिला है उनको एकजुट करके उनको जो बंधुआ मजदूर के खिलाफ वो आवाज़ उठाती है। और अभी उनका एक यूनियन भी बना है जहाँ पे इन लोग जो है लड़ रहे हैं। फिर कोविड के टाइम में जब इनका जो सारे गांव के लोगों का रोजगार चला गया, तब जो बैंक में जो उनका लोन लेने का था, बैंक लोन देने के लिए इनकार कर दिया। तो उसी समय जो है माइक्रो फाइनेंस इंस्टीट्यूट्स जो है उनसे इन लोगों ने लोन लिया, और कोविड के चलते इन लोगों ने लोन जब चुका नहीं पाए तो माइक्रो फाइनेंस के जो एजेंट है घर में घुसकर इनके सारे गांव वाले जो महिला जो है इनको सारे जो सामान है, ऐसे कि बर्तने सारे जो घर का जो सामान होता है उसको घर से लेके गए। ऐसे कि जो कंट्रोल का जो राशन का कार्ड है वो भी उनसे छीन के ले गए। तो इनके खिलाफ महिला संयुक्ता जो है महिलाओं को एकजुट करके फिर थाना में गए, और वो माइक्रो फाइनेंस एजेंट और कंपनी के खिलाफ जो है उनके खिलाफ केस दर्ज करवा। लेकिन पुलिस ने इनिशियली तो जो है उनको बात नहीं मानी। फिर बहुत सारे महिलाओं को इकट्ठा करके थाना घेराव किया, तब पुलिस ने मजबूर होकर जो है उनके एजेंट के खिलाफ जो है केस दर्ज किया, और वो एजेंट जो है गांव वालों के सामने सारे महिलाओं को उन्होंने माफ़ी मांगी, और पुलिस ने भी इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया, और उन लोग भी मजबूर हुआ कि जो एक्स्ट्रा जो चार्जेस लगाते थे इंटरेस्ट का वो भी वापस लिया गया। संयुक्ता का जो है जो लड़ाई वो यहीं पे ख़त्म नहीं हुए, वो अभी उनके गांव के साथ साथ एडवा के बैनर से जो उस एरिया को जो है वहाँ उसमें महिला ग्रुप बना के माइक्रो फाइनेंस के खिलाफ जो है उसमें आवाज़ उठा रही है, और अभी वो जो है नयागढ़ डिस्ट्रिक्ट कमेटी का मेंबर है, और उनकी जो लोकालिटी है उसका वो सेक्रेटरी है। तो मैं अभी now I request Comrade P.K. Srimati to felicitate her.
And finally, we invite Kamlesh, Faridabad, Haryana, onto the stage. In the year of 2018, the Anganwadi Workers and Helpers Union in Haryana launched a movement for permanent employment, increase in honorarium, etc. Kamlesh, a 52-year-old Dalit Anganwadi worker, played an important role in organizing women as a leader of the Anganwadi Workers and Helpers Union. Thousands of women came out on the streets carrying red flags and targeting the BJP government for its apathy towards the demands of the struggle. This annoyed the Chief Minister of Haryana, who threatened the union in the Vidhan Sabha. But despite this, the movement, the Anganwadi Workers and Helpers Union, became stronger under the leadership of Kamlesh. The Chief Minister was forced to yield to the struggle and apologize due to the strength of the movement. Many of their demands were accepted, but the government refused to implement them. Therefore, the movement intensified, demanding implementation of the announcements made by the Chief Minister in 2018. The Anganwadi Workers and Helpers Union conducted a historic strike for 119 days. From 8th December 2021 to 4th April 2022, 119 days of successful strike. In retaliation, about 975 Anganwadi workers and helpers were terminated, and false cases were registered against hundreds of them. Despite this, the movement went on successfully. 15 out of 19 demands were implemented, and all workers and helpers were reinstated in the course of 11 months. Kamlesh continued to lead the struggles of Anganwadi and midday meal workers bravely. She has joined the Janwadi Mahila Samiti in the year 2017. She is a member of the State Committee from 2019 to 2022 and is currently Secretary of the Faridabad District Committee. Her courage and determination to work for the organization come from the experience of having repeatedly faced caste oppression and attacks of upper caste. As a leader of the Anganwadi Workers and Helpers Union in the state and District President of Midday Meal Workers Union, she continues to struggle against the BJP government. Let us express our solidarity.
कमलेश जो हरियाणा फरीदाबाद जिला हरियाणा से है, 2018 साल से जो आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर और हेल्पर की यूनियन की जो लगातार संघर्ष 119 दिन तक लगातार जो संघर्ष चला, जहाँ पे हजारों तादाद पर महिलाओं ने और जो वर्कर ने भाग लिया है, उन्होंने नेतृत्व में थे। और उनके एकजुटता को देखते हुए जो बीजेपी का जो वहाँ पे सरकार है, उसके जब मुख्यमंत्री, उन्होंने विधानसभा में उनको एपोलॉजी, उनको क्षमा मांगना, माफ़ी मांगना पड़ा उनको। लेकिन फिर भी उनका जो डिमांड था, उस डिमांड को, कुछ डिमांड को मान लिया गया था, लेकिन फिर भी सरकार जो है उसके वो डिमांड आगे माना नहीं, नहीं माना, तो इसलिए फिर इन लोगों ने स्ट्रगल किया और 119 दिन का जो स्ट्रगल, आखिरकार सरकार को उनके आगे झुकना पड़ा, उन महिलाओं को जो एकजुटता के आगे, संघर्ष के आगे, और सरकार ने जो है उनको मांग को मानना पड़ा। और इसी जो संघर्ष में 975 जो है उनके महिलाओं के ऊपर केस, फॉल्स जो है झूठा मुकदमा जो है उनको दर्ज किया गया। बहुत सारे जो उनको जो है टर्मिनेट किया गया, काम से निकाला गया 975 महिलाओं को, और बहुत सारे हजार महिला जो है, जो लीडर है, उनके ऊपर फॉल्स जो है केस उनको वो दर्ज किया गया। लेकिन ये महिला इतना साहस के साथ इस लड़ाई में, इस संघर्ष में जुटे रहे, और उनको ये कहना है कि वो आगे भी जुटे रहेंगे। 2017 साल से कमलेश जो है महिला समिति के जनवादी महिला के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, और अभी वो फरीदाबाद डिस्ट्रिक्ट का जो है सेक्रेटरी है। तो नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट शैलजा टीचर टू फेलिसिटेट कमलेश।
Zindabad, Zindabad. Come in. This one also on that step. लेके फिर बोलो। ये ले लो। कामकाजी महिलाओं की एकता जिंदाबाद। एडवा का संगठन जिंदाबाद। आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर हेल्पर यूनियन जिंदाबाद। इंकलाब जिंदाबाद। लाख सलाम साथियों।
Now we request our General Secretary to speak something.
अभी जो लास्ट हमारे संघर्ष के प्रतीक है वो है मनसिया। मनसिया है मलप्पुरम जिला से, केरला से। वो एक कल्चरल डांसर है, कल्चरल डांसर हिंदी में भी समझ लिया ना। और वहाँ पर उसके एरिया में, उसके ज़िला में उन्होंने जो मुस्लिम कट्टरपंथी है मुल्ला मौलवी, वो कट्टरपंथियों के विरोध में उनकी जो भी दड़पशाही थी, उनका जो भी जुल्म था, उसका मुकाबला करते हुए अपने आप को बखूबी बनाया है। एडवा की कार्यकर्ता है और खूब अच्छी तरह से हमारे कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में परफॉर्म भी किया है और लड़ती रही है। बिंदु आपको इसके बारे में ज़्यादा अंग्रेजी में वो बताएंगे।
Mansia, a classical dancer emerging from the Muslim community, faced many challenges and obstacles during the initial phase of her career as a dancer. The fundamentalists from her own community severely criticized her and her family and even excommunicated them. Her mother was denied a decent cremation at the time of her death. But Mansia, with her uncompromising will and confidence, continued with her passion for dancing and established herself as a dancer of high repute. The Hindu fundamentalists also denied her opportunities in the premises of the temple. For example, there was a recent episode in the famous Kudalmanikam temple, which created much controversy. But anyway, she emerged victorious, and recently she was nominated to the executive committee of Kerala Sangeeta Nadaka Academy by the LDF government. Congratulations and best wishes.
Now I request our Brindadi to felicitate her.
Mansia closely associates herself with us, and she'll be performing on 8th in this hall in our conference.
Thank you all my comrades and love you all. Ada Sindabad, Sindabad.
कितने ताकत वाले हैं हमारे साथियों, है ना? लेकिन आज तो हम 5-6 को ऐसे देखे हैं यहाँ, लेकिन और भी बहुत सारे हैं जो डेलीगेट्स के रूप में आए हैं इधर, उसके बीच में भी है जो नहीं आए हैं, जो लड़ते हैं वहाँ इलाका में, उसके बीच में भी है ऐसे ताकत वाली. तो these are very inspiring examples for us, and these give us hope for our organization. When we look at them, we feel sure that we will cross all barriers and be victorious in our struggle. हम जरूर जीतेंगे. ऐसे औरतें हमारे साथ है, ऐसे साथियां हमारे साथ है, तो जरूर हम जीतेंगे. तो अभी comrades, only the very last part of this session remains. That is, I shall speak only a very few words to you in conclusion. And after that, we shall have lunch break till 4. But I would request all comrades to be here by 3:45. 2 बजे से 4 बजे तक हमारा लंच ब्रेक है कॉमरेड्स, लेकिन वो 3:45 बजे ही आप यहाँ हॉल में आ जाइए. ठीक है? जैसे हम शुरू कर सकते हैं समय पर. अभी तक हम समय पर है, ये भी हमारे लिए एक बहुत खुशी की बात है. अच्छा, और एक बात भी बताना है कि हमारे बीच में ऐसे कोई साथियां हैं हमारे जो वो हमारे जो पहला जो सम्मेलन हुआ था चेन्नई में, वहाँ से हमारे साथ है. ऐसे कोई साथियां भी हमारे बीच में हैं. हम ये सबको भी बधाई दे रही हूँ, and I will make I will speak a very few words to conclude this session. Dear comrades of AIDWA, delegates, observers, and volunteers at this conference, respected guests, beloved guests, leaders of mass organization, friends of the press. We are having an All India conference in Kerala after a gap of 36 years. And while many things have changed in the meantime, the liveliness and warmth that we find here remain unchanged. Kerala provides us with examples that we would like to emulate and alternatives we would like to carry forward through our organizational work. वो जो वामपंथी जो आंदोलन है केरला में, वो हमको कुछ दिशा दिखाते हैं एक विकल्प का. The welcome they have extended to us, our Kerala comrades, I am not just referring to my organization, not just to AIDWA, but all the various organizations who have got together to welcome us, I think is not a matter of ritual, but adds to our determination to ensure the success of our conference. Let me tell you, while we are on the threshold of our 13th All India Conference, how elated and humbled I feel in front of its inaugural gathering. Elated to think how much trust and solidarity you have rested on our organization through your presence here. Humbled to think of the severe test that we must pass in order to deserve such estimation. Because of our ambitious span across states, across many sections of women in this country, and their emancipatory aspirations of different kinds, our task has always been full of challenge. चुनौती तो हर पल हमारे लिए है. लेकिन the objective situation for women in the country today is so full of unprecedented dangers that we feel we need to increase our strength 100-fold, even in order to retain the fruits of the struggles of our predecessors from the time of independence. At that time, the hopeful journey for us had been towards equality. Now, we have to apply all our will, even to stop ourselves from moving backward away from equality. उस वक्त हम तो समता के ओर जाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन अभी हमको ये मजबूरी है कि असमता के ओर जो यात्रा शुरू हुआ है, ये यात्रा को हम कैसे रोध करें. An act of arrant betrayal of the people by those at the helm of the state forms the background of this shocking retrogression. When men, women, and children are having their basic constitutional rights to food, to education, to health, and to employment deliberately snatched away from them by force or by fraud. The sheer inhumanity of our rulers has been particularly in evidence during the COVID pandemic and the total lockdown imposed upon the country without making any provisions for the basic needs of the people. In a cruel mockery of human misery, instead of providing necessary medical services and other services, the highest authority in the country, encouraged people to engage in irrational rituals as a supposed antidote to the disease. क्या थाला बजाओ, थाला बजाना, और क्या है वो पुष्पक रथ से पुष्प वृष्टि करना, है ना? They tried to convince us that this would be the proper antidote to the disease. We don't need hospitals, we don't need doctors, we don't need any medical services. Small producers, migrant workers, housewives, young students were plunged in the depths of helplessness. The shining example of the left-run government in Kerala in facing the challenge of the pandemic remained a mere exception. Women in the country felt the shock twice over, working in the outside world as also within the domestic sphere. We can tell countless stories of exemplary courage and determination that women at the grassroots have shown in their struggle for their own survival and also in helping others to survive. But their human dignity has been trashed by the rulers of the country, on one hand, through the denial of their basic rights, and on the other hand, through the dissemination of what I would call a culture of inequity, violence, and unreason, both through the widely spread social agencies of the Sangh Paribar and also through corporate media to which Tista has referred. Oppositional voices have been sought to be crushed. Justice has been withheld from the aggrieved by distorting laws in favor of the powerful, and hatred has been precipitated between religious, linguistic, and ethnic communities in a planned manner in the name of patriotism. कानून जो है वो मालूम होता है कि वो सिर्फ बाहुबलियों के लिए है, आम जनता के लिए नहीं है. ये स्थिति अभी है. Social conservatism of the worst kind has been reinvented and set up as sacrosanct tradition to prevent women from exercising their choice and achieving the equal position in society promised by our Constitution. As crimes in the name of family honor against women, sometimes called honor killings, and young couples go unpunished, as convicted criminals of the worst kind go scot-free because they're said to be good, संस्कारी citizens, संस्कारी नागरिक है, तो उसको रिहा दे दीजिए और तिस्ता को जेल में भरो. ऐसा है ये आज की कानूनी स्थिति, आज ऐसी है. Constitutional promises of a life of equality and dignity for women reduced to dust. Dalit women, Adivasi women, and women from religious and ethnic minorities are all the more vulnerable under this regime. The naked exercise of state power to bulldoze all democratic movements through terror is sometimes being supplemented even by proactive moves from the top to twist laws and distort constitutional provisions. Sometimes they're even being projected as progressive steps benefiting women, as the campaign against the hijab or the proposal to introduce a uniform civil code. However, these are actually intended to create divisiveness among women and fuel minority fundamentalism as the mirror image of majoritarian aggression. As in Karnataka, we found all those girls who were excluded from the colleges. क्योंकि क्या वो हिजाब पढ़ते थे इसलिए उसका कॉलेज जाना मना कर दिया. तो क्या हुआ? वो तो सिर्फ जो मुल्ला मौलवी जो है उसके हाथ में हम सौंप दिए हैं ये सब छात्रियों को, जो लिखाई पढ़ाई करके बाहर जा सकते थे उसको हम सौंप दिए हैं. So in this way, retrograde ideologies of all kinds are being promoted to mobilize one section of women against another. Our slogan for our 13th conference is, as you know, struggle in unity for equality. Our goal is to protect the gains secured by our predecessors in the matter of the rights given to us by our Constitution, and to move at the same time towards more of substantive equality through social change. In this struggle, unity among women and among all democratic-minded people is the strategy we have to follow. All of you who are listening to this are our companions at arms in this struggle. We have to make our base broader to build links with organizations, institutions, and individuals who have felt in their bones the pressure of these oppressive times, but many of whom may still be unaware of or unable to express what this dead weight is that is crushing their bones. Let us become the voice of the voiceless. जो कुछ बोल नहीं सकते हैं, वो एडवा से जो पुकार उठता है, उन सभी के लिए है. All of them must become active participants in this struggle. Our experience also tells us that we can do this only by discarding compromises and halfway measures in our dealings with socially retrograde, irrational practices. We must eradicate them from within. अंतर से इसका जो जाड़ा है हमारे अंदर में, इसको ही उखाड़ के हमको आगे बढ़ना है. We must discard compromises and halfway measures in our dealings with socially retrograde, irrational practices such as done based on caste and community. These practices, demeaning to women, are often sanctified today as Manuvad. Struggle to free ourselves from hunger, disease, and the curse of unemployment must be free from the reign of terror Manuvad seeks to impose upon us. Through our deliberations in this conference, we pledge that AIDWA shall be in the forefront of this united struggle until we win. हमारा जो चर्चा जो होगी इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में, सम्मेलन में, उसका दिशा ये होगी कि ये स्ट्रगल में एक एडवा को और भी आगे बढ़ना है. जो इसका जो सिपाही जो है ये एकदम फ्रंट लाइन में हमारा होना है, रहना है. So AIDWA, I hope through our deliberations in this conference shall remain in the forefront of this united struggle until we win. Long live AIDWA, long live women's unity, long live democratic unity.
ছায়াবল একজন আছে প্রথম সম্মেলনের কেরলের সম্মেলনে ছায়াবল ত্রিপুরা আছে
Session committee makes some suggestions. Cosima will speak.
Seema. Acha, there are some certain announcements from the reception committee, so I would request Comrade Seema to place them. Don't go away. Please listen to the announcements. कुछ बताना है आपके पास जो सीमा ने बताएंगे रिसेप्शन कमेटी के ओर से, सुनने के बाद जाइए.
Thank you, comrade. There is an announcement regarding arrangement for lunch. Lunch will be served in the dining hall opposite to the Tagore Theatre, where we had breakfast today morning. Our food hall, our dining hall capacity is for 50 only. For ensuring comfortable seating, the delegates are requested to go by 2 batches. First batch, special guests, patrons, CC and center, fraternal organization, observers,